Welcome to Ending the Stupid Gender War. This show will go over the most common gender war arguments between men and women. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let us go ahead and begin, shall we? Alright, so we're going to be determining if what men and women are saying these days with the gender war. Yes, there always has been a gender war ever since the birth of feminism, machismo, which is toxic masculinity. Yes, it does exist. Anybody saying that toxic femininity and masculinity don't exist is a fool. Okay, all of this proves it and so much more to come. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive deep with seeing if what females say first, then we'll go over the men, is really stupid or valid. All right, let's go ahead and examine this, shall we? So, one of 5 things that women are saying today. Your entire style is a free t-shirt from a tech conference and cargo shorts. All right, so criticizing what men wear, right? You look like a toddler who dressed himself. Wow, that's pretty brutal, isn't it? You're telling me and everyone else that you have zero respect for the world you live in. Her point is that a man's total lack of effort in his appearance feels like a lack of respect for her and everyone around him. Not always true, okay? Like, look, it's a confidence issue, and it's also maybe a state of laziness. Should we really be too hard on men? Maybe that's the way they want to dress. But these are really harsh things to say. Obviously, we're in the gender war, so nothing is going to be nice. Okay? That just goes without saying. None of this is going to be nice. But does she have a point? Kind of, sort of. But the way that a female, because she doesn't deserve to be called a real woman, but let's just call her a woman. Who cares? For the point of simplicity, right? Now, if she's being this disrespectful, you're dressing like a toddler, you're telling the world, it's just so toxic. You do not want to be with this, okay? This is a toxic woman right here. For the purpose of simplicity. Now, does she have a point that she could have put a lot more kindly and intelligently? Yes, obviously. Men should be aware of how they dress. Now, if you're overweight, obese, you're very limited, right? And the clothes you can wear. I get it. But if you have the money, then you should go buy yourself some new threads, as they say, some new clothes. I mean, it has to deal with self-respect, yes. But this is an exaggeration, saying zero respect for the world and for her. No, it's not necessarily about respect. It's about confidence and about how much do you actually consider yourself worthy to show, yourself to the world in a better way. So a more casual way. Maybe you want to dress in that t-shirt or hoodie or hat because, it's not that you don't take yourself seriously, but you just feel too comfortable, right? That's okay. There's a time and place to do that. But yes, if you guys, that's up to you guys as partners, right? In a relationship. Because you're going to be left with the nagging wife who's going to be controlling exactly what you wear. That's not cool, okay? That is manipulative, abusive behavior. If she's trying to dress you like a doll, like a mannequin. She could suggest what you should wear, and you could suggest what she should wear, but in the end, you guys have to make up your own minds. But stuff like this is it's actually disrespectful to talk this way to a guy. Saying like you dress like a toddler. So this is by far extremely offensive, but she has a point, but on a very low scale of validity. Her only point is, hey, she could have said it like this. Don't you want to go buy some new clothes? I'll come with you and tell you what I think is good, but you don't have to, right, honey? But the way I feel about it, I think you deserve to wear better clothes. And maybe even gift him a shirt that you would like to see him wear, some pants or whatever it is, right? There's ways of communicating these feelings. But we're in the war, okay? The gender war. The next thing that a toxic woman would say, you'll drop 2 grand on a gaming chair, but act like a $30 face wash is a conspiracy. Okay, so here we go with the nagging wife in most cases. You're investing in everything but the man you actually are. Okay, this is now you just crossed the line, right? Your skin looks like a pizza. Wow. Because you treat your body like a dorm room. Her point is that men will spend on hobbies but refuse basic self-care, signaling they've given up on self-improvement. Okay, so once again, from a different angle, right? I mean, basic hygiene, how you take care of yourself. Now, physically, we're not even talking about aesthetically with clothes, with apparel. But that's an insult, obviously, to tell you that, your skin looks like pizza. Okay, so this is obviously a very toxic thing. We're in the gender war, okay? We're deep in the nitty gritty here. What guys are complaining about all the time, right? So investing your money once again into personal care, into hygiene, right? Basic self-care. This could be true. Now, that's an offensive way of dropping that suggestion. Again, we're not talking about clothes. We're talking about how you take care of yourself. That's as personal as it gets when it's skin deep, okay? So obviously she failed again to convey the point. But it's supposed to be like that, right? Because that's how a lot of toxic women are out there. So my suggestion is, guys, you do you, right? But you do have to be conscientious. If she has a problem, if you smell bad or whatever, well, there's ways of telling him, right? Hey, stinky skunk, I think you should take a shower. That's not offensive because she's being playful with you. Now, if you take offense to that and you don't think you smell, well, that could be an argument, right? It is what it is. You don't think you smell bad, and you think you take care of yourself, the bare minimum, but you're fine with that, you're comfortable. So these are these battles of state of comfort, right? The way you dress, the way you conduct your own hygiene, right? Your care for your own hygiene and whatnot. Yeah, these are matters of preferences, but I mean, if you're living together, this is going to be a big deal that needs to be addressed. Now, how you guys smell, that we're going to get into that a little bit later, but that's a very personal issue that does need to be discussed. But once again, with respect and consideration, you don't just drop all these toxic bombs like this. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I mean, these are all conversation solution based. You just have the conversations on a mature level. You don't have to get with all this toxic emotional distress acting here, okay? This is all unnecessary. My goodness. Number 3. It's so intense already. That beard isn't a style. It's a hiding spot. All right, so now she's criticizing your beard, right? Maybe you want the beard. Okay, but if you're with her, her opinion matters, right? Like it or not, you have to take into account your partner's opinions about you. But again, there's a nice way of saying these things. So to say it's out of style, we're already on a level of immaturity here. Okay, disrespectful communication, if you can even call it that. You're using facial hair like a curtain because you're too lazy to shape the face underneath. Wow. Okay. It's not rugged, it's just dirty, and everyone's too polite to tell you. Her point is that poor grooming isn't a choice. It's negligence, and it's physically unattractive. Okay, well, she's right about that. Unkempt hair is going to be physically unattractive. It is probably negligence in the form of laziness, right? Or maybe that he just doesn't know how bad it is, and you're reminding him, hey, it really does look bad, honey. Sure, that's a legit point, but once again, why don't you just tell him in a kind way? You don't have to be so nagging and disrespectful, right? Because that's a huge red flag. Doesn't matter if you guys are already married, I don't care how many years. You don't disrespect your partner like this. This is horrific. I don't care what phase or stage you guys are in. Friendship, dating, whatever you guys prefer. All right. So obviously that's the guy's choice whether he wants the beard or not. But again, just like with the clothing and hygiene, you have to be conscientious and aware of how your partner feels about your appearance. Should they control you as to whether you shave it off or not, the beard? Well, as long as if you're going to have the beard, you should groom your beard accordingly. But this isn't the military. You guys have to either negotiate about it. Maybe I'll just keep a mustache. Maybe I'll shave the mustache or trim or whatever. You guys have to have, once again, a a mature, healthy level of communication about these things. You don't have to drop bombs over this. This is nothing to explode about, people. These are little nitpicking things, but it could be a big problem. If you guys are kissing and the beard pinches her, whatever it is, you might think it's small, but it's actually really big for her. Her feelings and thoughts have to count as long as they're being conveyed in a respectful manner. Understand? And that's it with the top 3 here. Now let's go to number 4 and 5. All right, so stop using that one photo from 2015 on every app. You're not the guy in that picture anymore. Wow. All right, trying to make the guy feel so depressed about his self-image. All right, so you're catfishing with a ghost because you've given up on who you are now. What am I supposed to do with that? So her point is that using old photos is deceptive and shows a man is living in the past, not investing in his present. Well, maybe he doesn't feel comfortable with the way he looks now. Maybe he has some weight to lose. Maybe he's going through some depression or whatever it is. He's not smiling like always. Look, let him have his nostalgia. Let him have his reflection on the past. There's nothing wrong with that. But this, once again, is a toxic way of bringing it up, right? Like, you're not that man anymore. That's disrespectful. Because the truth is, you're every single man you used to be and every man that you're going to be. Every single year, you're a different man. Just a slightly better. Or sometimes slightly worse. But it is what it is. You have your challenges to overcome, just like every single one of us in this world. So, stop using that photo. He can use whichever photo he wants. So this is a bad argument right here. Catfishing with a ghost? No, this is completely invalid, right? Now, if she's trying to boost your motivation and confidence to say, hey, why don't you use some new updated photos? That's just a simple suggestion, okay? That's as far as that conversation goes. Either he accepts it, the idea, or not. Let's move on to the last argument here. You make jokes about plastic surgery, but your browser history is full of women who've had everything done. Well, nothing wrong with that. You don't want natural. You want a fantasy you can shame in public and search for in private. You're a walking contradiction. So her point is that men criticize artificial beauty while secretly desiring it, making their standards hypocritical and impossible. Okay, so this is just a general statement within the gender war. We're not really talking about a relationship here. It could be a topic in a relationship. But the truth of the matter is, every woman has the right to choose whether or not to go underneath the knife operations. I don't advise it. But if she really wants it, because of the risk, the anesthesia, the possible loss of life or complications, it's dangerous. Even cosmetic procedures, obviously. There's a certain level of risk. Sometimes they're higher, right? But if she insists, then you got to be her cheerleader, right? But the thing is, with desiring women, that is a horrible, immature thing when guys say, well, every woman has to have natural breasts, right? Breast augmentation is stupid. It looks horrible. Keep those opinions to yourself. You have your own set of preferences. But every woman has a decision whether or not to augment themselves accordingly, cosmetically, right? So these procedures, if they do surgeries or not, those are their personal decisions, okay? So when men say stupid things, I have to give the point to the woman here in this case. Not when she's calling him a hypocrite, but if it's a valid point, if the shoe fits with the guy she's talking about here. Yes, it is hypocritical because many men look at pornography and they have artificial breasts or, Brazilian butt lifts, whatever it is. And yeah, they have a merry old time with that. A lot of single men, right? And a lot of married men who are having trouble in the bedroom, so they turn to porn. Okay, I get it. But the point is still valid that Women are women. They're beautiful either with augmentation or without. Okay? Now, you can have your opinion on how they look. But beauty is only in the eye of the beholder. So if they think they're beautiful, you got to leave it at that. If they say they're a perfect 10, then they're a perfect 10. Now, if you come over and you say, no, I don't think they are, well, that's your opinion, right? But if you're talking about your partner in a relationship, you better be very careful with that, because otherwise you're with the wrong person if she's not a perfect 10. And if you're one of those losers who say nobody's perfect, you're not ready for a lifelong committed relationship. You're not. You have to both be perfect for each other. Got it? I'm not going to repeat that, but I would. But it's just a waste of time. So let's go ahead and move on to what the men have to say in the gender war. Off to the start. Right off the bat. Your no makeup. Okay, so this is kind of following up with what we were talking about. Your no makeup takes longer than my work day. You've turned natural into the most exhausting performance of your life. Wow. How can anything be real with you when your authenticity is staged? So his point is that the extreme effort to look effortless feels deeply inauthentic and exhausting to deal with. Who cares? If she wants to take an hour to put on makeup, if you're in a relationship, that's who you're getting into bed with. All right? My guy, it's not that bad. It's not a big deal. Go play some video games, go watch some movies, or I don't know, but look, if she is taking way too long, I don't know, you guys got to discuss it, right? Because now it's a time issue. So either she does it earlier, or if it's impromptu, say, honey, you look fine, with doing like a minimalist touch-up. Tell her how beautiful she looks even without makeup. Or if you think she does need makeup, well, you guys got to settle that between you guys. But let me tell you guys something. Being harsh on women saying, you wear makeup and you don't show your real face, that's their choice. Especially when they're showing it to public. That shouldn't matter to you guys. None of you guys. Whether they had surgeries, whether they put on makeup. Who cares? That's called freedom. What do you want? For all the women to not put on makeup? Look, makeup has evolved into something that can be out of control sometimes. Like you're wearing too much makeup. I call it the cake face. But again, that's their own freedom of choice. Let it go. Unless you're in a relationship with a woman who's doing this or that with makeup, then you can have that conversation about what you think and how she feels about what you think. Fine. But when you're stating nonsense like this out in the public, no, it's incorrect. Every woman, if they feel beautiful with makeup or without makeup, that's their own personal choice. Next. All right, so you don't just use a filter. Okay, now we're talking about digital makeup, right? The filters. All right, so you don't just use a filter, you live behind one. I've seen the real you in the morning. Okay, so now we're talking about a relationship. And it's like you're a secret you're trying to keep from the world. Who cares? Just use the damn filter. Who really cares about that? Even from me. What are you talking about? She can't use a filter in real life offline, buddy. That's not a filter. That's a lie. Wow. This is toxic behavior on the guy's part. And tell yourself every day. His point is that constant filtering creates a false persona, making real intimacy real impossible. No, stop it. You can't use a filter offline. So who cares what she does online? I've seen guys just spaz out over this. They're just freaking twerking out over this. Just tweaking out over it. It's so immature. Who really cares, right? If they want to touch themselves up, I've seen plenty of touched up videos with filters and images. It's a little sad because they should be, happy with how they look. A lot of them already look fantastic and they still use a filter. But who really cares in the end, right? Especially your partner. Let it go. What is wrong with you? There are far more important things in life than to be arguing over gibberish like this. That's senseless. So, point for the women there. You call it a body positive post. Here we go again with what women do online. Who cares? But it took 200 photos and perfect lighting. Okay, if that's the case, and this is not an exaggeration, then yeah, there is concern for the woman here. actually taking 200 photos to get the right photo to make on a post. But again, that's her freedom to do so. A little psychotic, right? All right. But you haven't accepted your body. Well, that's her choice, if she does or not, right? Now, if she has like body dysmorphia, she's never happy with herself physically, then that could be cause for concern. But again, there's nice ways of conveying that point, right? You've just learned to market it. That's not confidence. That's a sales pitch. Wow. And I'm tired of being sold to. His point is that curated body positivity online feels like a commercial performance, not genuine self-acceptance. Okay, if she's your partner, stop it. You're the toxic one. It doesn't matter. But if she has body dysmorphia characteristics here, signs, right, then you guys should have that serious conversation, and that's a valid point. All right? Because nobody should be taking 200 freaking photos of themselves and finding the perfect one to post online. That's called obsessive compulsive behavior, not necessarily the disorder OCD, but that is a behavior that's not healthy. You're not utilizing your time in a healthy way. You have the choice, the freedom to waste your time like that. Maybe once in a blue moon, if that's how serious you are, that one magical photo, but not like on a daily basis or far too. No, that's unhealthy behavior. So that would be point for the guy. But if it's somebody online doing this, let it go. This is a stupid argument, right? All right, so you paid to have your lips look permanently stung by a bee. Well, sometimes it's just simple lip plumpers with some spicy stuff that you stick on your... It's not a big deal, okay? Because some influencer did it. You didn't do it for men. You did it to compete with other women. Who cares? In a race nobody else is watching. You look like a meme. Wow, that's insulting. His point is that many beauty trends are for female competition, not male attraction, and can look absurd. Well, to you it might look absurd, but to other men they might like those luscious plump lips. The world isn't just for myself or yourself. The world belongs to everybody. People have their opinions and preferences. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If she wants fish lips, plump lips, slightly plump lips, oh, they're not natural though. Okay, maybe she has a thin upper lip that she wants to plump up. These are just matters of preference, okay? Now, once again, if you're in a relationship with the woman, you guys should have that conversation. How you feel about her plumping her lips, what you think about it, especially if it's something that's borderline unhealthy, like the chemicals that women put on every single day, shampoos, conditioners, makeup. There's a ton of carcinogenic chemicals that they're playing around with, right? But that's besides the point. Freedom is freedom. Like if you want to eat fast food as much as you want, go ahead. There are possible consequences to that, right? That's the conversation you should have. But if it's a lip plumper that's not going to do anything with plumping your lips, let it go, right? Unless you're in a relationship where you can have that mature level of conversation. Last one from the men. I literally don't recognize you when you take the makeup off. Okay, once again with cosmetics. You contour your face into a stranger's. You've turned your own skin into a costume. And then you get mad when I feel like I'm waking up next to someone different every day. Okay, so this is an actual relationship scenario, right? His point is that extreme makeup can feel like a disguise, eroding the trust and recognition at the core of a relationship. No, it has nothing to do with trust. I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? You should love your woman without makeup or with makeup if that's what she wants. So I literally don't recognize you as a clear exaggeration. That's a toxic way of putting it. If she's putting on so much makeup to where she's on a level of a geisha, a Japanese geisha, yes, that's going to be a problem, honey. No woman should be putting as much makeup as a geisha, like a completely pale face or whatever, like looking like a walking Italian mask. No. But, you know what? Freedom's still freedom in that case. But most likely that's not a good idea, okay? Because you really are covering up. That's once again, that falls into the category of possible body dysmorphia. You know, you're not happy with the way you look in the mirror. You know, you're not aging gracefully and accepting yourself for who you are at the present moment. You can't always be the 20-something-year-old whatever. You can try your best, and that's what's respected in society, and you should respect for yourself. Always trying to be your best, no matter what age you are. So makeup can help you, but sometimes it can make you look worse. It just depends on how well you know how to apply makeup. But yes, in this case, your partner's opinions and thoughts, they really do count, their feelings. But I mean, waking up next to someone different every day, extreme makeup can feel like a disguise. All right, well, this is an extreme situation. But for the most part, guys, if women want to put on makeup, that's their freedom to do so. Stop criticizing them. Stop bashing them, because that just makes you look so immature and so bad and toxic. But if it's your partner, then yes, you guys got to have that conversation if it bothers you that much, right? There could be a mental and emotional issue there with her. You guys have to dig deep, right? I mean, so this was all pretty much cosmetic. These 10 points here, 5 from the women, 5 from the men. So we'll just leave it at that. In future episodes, obviously, we're going to go into other toxic areas of the gender war. But yeah, for the most part, this is kind of the gist of it on both sides. There's a lot of women complaining about how men carry themselves and yada yada. And then the same applies with men. Look, I get it, right? But it is, in the end, about freedom and preference. So like it or not, it is what it is. All right, what do we have here for today's battle of the sexes, the gender war? Oh, it's always going to be exciting. I can just feel it. But yeah, here we are. Starting with the ladies. What do they have to argue about? What's their fuss all about this time? All right, so number 1. Your only friends are the guys you play video games with online. You don't have a single person you'd call in a real crisis. Okay. That's not a social circle. It's a distraction pod. Her point is that men's friendships often lack emotional depth, leaving her to bear the entire burden of being his sole source of support. All right, so the people you play online games with, fellas, those aren't your friends. I mean, they could be. Linking up with you, there's a way of doing that. You can link up with real friends that you have offline. But if you know them online, sure, you can call them online friends, but they're really just acquaintances unless you meet them in person. You got to establish that strong contrast, because it can become an addiction. If you play too many games online, I've been tempted in the past when I was playing games online. I've been tempted to be like, yeah, these are my friends, but no, they're just having fun with you. It's just a good way of passing time with other people online. It's not that deep, okay? A friend is somebody you meet offline, end of story. So what is she really complaining about here? Your only friends are the guys you play video games with online. And then she says the entire burden of being his sole source of support. Doesn't really make a lot of sense here. I mean, who cares about the people he plays with online? Now, if it's excessive gaming, then there is a big problem now, isn't there? But complaining about emotional depth and support, I mean, that's what you're going to provide, right? I mean, if the guy's not a jerk and addicted to playing games all the time, then you're good to go. I don't see what the complaint is, honestly. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and move on. That's kind of a weak point. You get visibly irritated when I have a girls' night out, all right? But you'll disappear for an entire weekend for a guy's trip without a second thought. Well, I mean, you could do the same. Your jealousy isn't about missing me. It's about controlling my access to joy outside of you. Well, okay, so because he gets irritated when you have just one girls' night out. Okay, that's a fair point. Her point is that men often harbor a double standard, viewing her social freedom as a threat while claiming their own as a right. Well, look, man, that's not fair, okay? Like, if he's going to be out for a couple of nights, I mean, you shouldn't even want that. You should spend almost 100% of your time at home with your, hopefully, soulmate, right? I mean, otherwise, it's a pretty weak relationship when you don't even want to spend that much time with your... That's kind of ridiculous. Now, if it's a special guy's trip, I mean, I get it. but this is really messed up, guys. It really is. It begs the question, like, are your friends more important than your woman, your partner? She has a valid point here. And you getting irritated just because she has a simple girls' night out, that's really toxic behavior. She should, I mean, I don't even support girls' nights out or guys' trips. I don't even support that. When you're truly in love with your partner, you don't even want to go on these guys' trips and girls' night. That means that you don't have enough at home domestically. When everybody's in love, there's nobody else they'd rather spend their entire rest of their lives with than each other. That's love, sweet love. If that sounds selfish, then you're not in love. Everybody's supposed to know it. That you want to spend time with your partner all the time. Doesn't mean you can't have a girls' night out. Doesn't mean you can't go on a trip with the boys. You see what I'm saying? But there's a way of incorporating that. But it can't be chronic like this. Like, well, you get irritated. Nobody should be getting irritated. She should be more irritated if you're going constantly on trips that last for days. Heck, if I was a woman, that would irritate me. Like, what's up with that? You don't want to spend precious time with me when you have time? I mean, because you work hard, you barely have free time, and the last thing that your partner wants to hear is, well, you know what? I want to spend it with the boys for a couple of days. Seriously? Or she says, I'm going to have a girls' night out, another girls' night out, and another one. This is horrible, okay? Like, that just means you guys aren't in as much love as you guys claim you are. There's no balance. And why are you balancing friend time with your partner time? It just means you're not even serious about the relationship. It's really despicable. It really is. All right, moving on to the next point, number 3. You hate every single one of my friends. Back with the friends. You nitpick and sulk until I feel guilty for seeing them. All right, so this is pretty similar to number 2. You're not protecting me. You're isolating me because their perspective threatens your comfort. Wow. Her point is that a man's universal dislike for her friends is a red flag for controlling behavior, not a sign of a protective partner. All right, let's see what's really going on here. It's kind of a little bit of a different angle with the friend, topic here. You're not protecting me, you're isolating me. That is possible. That's an abusive behavior characteristic there where somebody wants to control you, who you see, how long you see them, right? And they tell you they even tell you who you can see, right? Because you might have a list of friends and they'll choose, but they'll also say, no, you can't see any of them, or you can only see this ones at this time. That's abusive, manipulating behavior right there. It's abuse, flat out. So if she says, you hate every single one of my friends, here's the thing, okay? This is really messed up. This really is messed up. If she has nice friends that are polite and they don't disrespect you as a husband or boyfriend, you have no reason to hate her friends. Okay, that's just scenario number 1. Scenario number 2. Okay, her friends give her toxic advice that affects your relationship, so it's inviting sabotage of that type. You have a reason to hate her friends, right? But if you guys don't talk about these things, because it doesn't sound like they're talking about it, they're just arguing over these things. I don't know what the case is, but nitpicking and sulking until she feels guilty for seeing them, is there a legit reason for doing that type of behavior? For behaving that way? I mean, because she's talking about protecting, so if you see something wrong with their friends. But in the end, guys, this is a test of love, regardless of how her friends are and how much time that she spent. It's a telltale sign that it shows you how much she loves you or doesn't love you. If she spends too much time with her friends, she doesn't love you. I'm sorry. Any guy or woman spending too much time with your friends, they're not in love. Newsflash. I mean, what's wrong with you all? I mean, when your friends come into the middle of your relationship and you have to choose between your friends and your partner, you're not ready for a serious, committed, long-term relationship, especially a lifelong relationship. It's not that you have to ditch all your friends, but your friends have to take a clear back seat, okay? Because you should have plenty on your plate with your partner. You guys have to be each other's fantasies every single day. Oh, that's an exaggeration. Then don't get involved in a relationship. Stay alone and stick to your boring friends, okay? Because they're going to get boring after a while. They have lives of their own to live domestically. And that's where you're lacking if you want friends that bad. That you gotta choose my friends or choose me. Stop it. I mean, that's so ridiculous on all these levels. So what is her main point here? Seriously. A man's universal dislike for her friends is a red flag. Unless he has a reason for disliking them. Seriously. Controlling behavior. I mean, it depends. If he doesn't have a reason and they're all nice friends, then yeah, that's his bad. That's his red flag. What an awkward... we need more information to really ascertain that one. But number 4. When my best friend is going through a breakup, I'm there for her. When your best friend was in crisis, you sent him a meme. Really? Is that how grown up we are, guys? You don't know how to show up for people. And it makes me wonder if you'd ever truly show up for me. Well, I hope he has already demonstrated that, especially if you guys are married. Her point is that men's perceived emotional incompetence in friendships foreshadows their failure in romantic partnership. Well, this goes like what I said before, right? How serious are you guys? Because we're talking about friends all over again. I think this is going to be like the main theme of this show. When my best friend is going through a breakup, okay, you can offer them some support mentally and emotionally, right? Talk with them. You know, show some love, right? Give them a hug, go out eating together, get her mind off of whatever. I get it, right? That's what friends are supposed to do during such a bad moment. Why don't you both go see her? Why don't you both, all three of you? You don't have to leave if your partner, if the guy is just, oh, I don't really care, and with his friends, he sends them memes or whatever to cheer them up. I guess that's what she means. But I mean, not every situation is catastrophic. But what I advise is, you guys should handle things together, If somebody that you guys know, whether it's your friend or her friends, it just doesn't matter. Like, you guys should tackle it together. Why don't you both, unless she has it, like, hey, no, honey, I got it. But if it's something you both can participate in, you guys should do it as a team. Understand? It really isn't that complicated. And like I said before, if you put friends on such a high pedestal and then your partner way down here on the lowest pedestal, you're not in love. Easy peasy, right? You know what to do at that point. So number 5, you rely on me to plan every single social event with other couples. Oh, really? You can't even text your own friend's wife to coordinate a dinner. They've made me your social secretary. That's kind of interesting. This is pretty specific. And it's exhausting. Her point is that men outsource the emotional labor of maintaining social and family connections, making it her unpaid job. That sounds like laziness to me. Like I said before, you guys are a team. What's really going on here? A social event? All right, so you rely on me to plan every single social event with other couples. Don't know exactly what she's talking about there. You can't even text your own friend's wife to coordinate a dinner. See, this is precisely what I'm talking about. That's when you have yourselves way too intertwined, involved in the lives of your friends. You shouldn't be that deep, people. What are you talking about coordinating? Look, you gotta let them delegate their own life situations, okay? This is really stupid at this point. That's why I call it the stupid gender war. Because there's so many stupid things. There's some valid things, but the overwhelming majority are just stupid points that could all be solved so simply and so easily, but yet there's these attitude problems that end up ruining the relationship, and then you wonder how it all failed. You're the one with the pickaxe. You're the one with the chainsaw. Just look down at your own hands. You guys crumbled the tower of the relationship by yourselves. You guys are the demolition, wrecking crew here with these stupid decisions and stupid arguments. This is how friends sabotage or ruin the relationship. When you have too much focus and attention on your friends, you lose sight of the prize. Got it? Get it? Good. Shifting over to the men. My goodness. Number one for the men. Your friends are an echo chamber. You present a one-sided story about our fight. Oh, look, I gotta stop right there. See what I mean, people? Your friends do not... Now, this is the reverse, right? Vice versa. Your friends do not need to be all up in your guys' business. I mean, I gotta say that 10 times. Seriously. People don't get it. Now they're not friends, right? What are you? They're your managers now? So you're just like what? Like a little pawn for them to make decisions for? No. You guys have to respect your guys' relationship. Keep your friends out of it. Got it? You can accept their advice if it's sound, useful advice, productive advice. But when it's like this, just listen to this. A one-sided story about our fight. Your fight, your private matters should be kept personal. If you need advice, go ahead and get it from your friends, right? But let's see what he's complaining about here. And they all tell you to leave me. Yes, that is exactly what I meant in the beginning of the show. This is when friends sabotage what should have been a perfect relationship because you listen more to your friends than your own heart and mind, right? Now, if you're in an abusive relationship, you should listen to your friends because they're trying to protect you, saying, hey, you should leave him, right? That's legit. That's valid, right? They're not friends. They're a divorce counsel that profits from your misery. His point is that women's friend groups often encourage radical relationship ending advice based on biased information. I fully agree with that. I fully agree with that. Now, if he's correct, just taking it at face value, if this man is telling the truth, that is so true. It's extremely true when your friends that you think are friends, oh, well, he's probably going out with other women, or things that are completely not even true. You know, there's no evidence for it. There's no reason to suspect. Then you're going to ruin what could have been the most beautiful relationship of your life because you don't trust your partner. Anybody can just stop trusting your partner. Anybody. Like, oh, well, you know, it's so easy to do. But when you don't have probable cause to distrust your partner, you're the stupid one. Yes, you're being stupid. Because anybody, like I said, if you're afraid to trust, you're going to lose everything in this life. Now, you can just distrust just because. And I'm telling you, that's a stupid move. Because what if your partner is telling the truth? What if your partner has nothing going on that's nefarious? You messed it up. So yes, I give a point for the guy if that's the case. All right, so number 2, you expect me to be best friends with your friend's boring husband. Well, that's his right to reject his, the husband. We have nothing in common, but I'm the bad guy if I don't perform enthusiasm for your curated double date fantasy. And I wouldn't say fantasy. His point is that women force artificial social pairings and punish men for not faking camaraderie. Valid point. You know, if it's true, once again, all right? I mean, nobody should be forced to be friends with your friends. Your friends' husband's daughter's former roommate, pet dog, it doesn't matter. Nobody should be forced. Number 3, you'll drop our plans in a second if a friend has a crisis. That's just drama. I don't know. That's your guys' decision, but, depending on the severity, it shouldn't interrupt your guys' daily lives. If you guys have time to spare, both of you go address it, or maybe have her address it in a brief, timely manner, or unless it's something tragic, sure, take the time. That's what friends are for, right? My time is the default sacrifice for your social loyalty. It tells me where I actually rank. Right, so he has a valid point if you're spending too much time, the girls' night out, all their traumas and situations and problems. Yes, because who are you married with? Who are you really with if you guys are just boyfriend, girlfriend, right? It is about loyalty. His point is that women often prioritize fleeting friend drama. I mean, if it's silly drama, then yes, he has a point. But if it's something like a real crisis, like, I don't know, her car broke down or something, well, okay. Call her, make sure she gets that tow truck, she's not injured, call an ambulance, I get it, right? If it's not that tragic and it really is dramatic, like fighting with her husband, then yeah, sure, but not every single fight, right? I mean, you can keep tabs on your friends, but don't get it too involved in their life unless it's a case of abuse. But that's what the police are for, right? So call the police for her, ask her for her permission to do so. There are different options. You don't have to always come to your friend's rescue, especially if you have multiple friends. But it is very nice to be able to be each other's emergency point of contact, right? All right, so overcommitted partnership, making him feel disposable. Yes, so if it's on an extreme level, like you're always reporting to your friend, so much drama, 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 yes, it's going to ruin the relationship, right? I mean, you got to teach a man to fish, don't give him fish, right? So the same applies to women. Look, take care of your friends, right? Give them sound advice because you can't always be there for them, okay? Like, it's just not practical. Either they solve their own problems, get out of a really dangerous situation on their own, or you kind of assist them by calling this person, giving them advice to go deal it with some other way. But yes, if it gets too much on this side, this guy's totally right. Prioritization should always be your partner. You're not their only person. If you are your friend's only person to, cry to and to talk to, I get it, but you can't maintain that for the rest of your life. Understand? Okay, number 4. You analyze every interaction I have with my friends. All right, we're turning the tables. Looking for a problem. Me joking with the guys is toxic. Well, it depends what the jokes are, right? Me having a private conversation is secretive. You've pathologized male friendship. His point is that women frequently frame normal male bonding as problematic. It's not, creating suspicion around his platonic relationships. Well, I mean, if she's all up in your business critiquing how you talk with your friends and everything, it depends what you guys are saying. If you guys are saying some offensive stuff like women are all blank blank, right? And then you go to your woman and pretend that she's not. Well, that's pretty hypocritical, right? But you guys are partners. Whatever he's involved in is her business to a certain extent, right? Whatever she's involved in is his business to a certain. That's what a partnership is. In business, in a relationship, sorry, but two halves of the same heart. You guys have to keep each other in the loop. You can't be saying one thing to your friends, acting like, yeah, I hate all these, fill in the blank, and then you go to your wife like, no, I didn't say any of that. You're kind of playing a persona that's pretty toxic, right? I mean, what does she know what to believe? That's a valid point on her side. But if she's trying to control and manipulate you, getting into all of your private conversations with your friends, yeah, that's manipulative, abusive behavior. What can I tell you? Because if he does it to her, it's the same damn thing. Number 5, you use your friends as a weapon. All my friends think you're wrong. Okay. You don't argue with me. You summon a jury of your peers to gang up on me. It's not a discussion. It's an ambush. His point is that women mobilize their friend group to win arguments. Yeah, this is pretty sick. Making conflict feel unfair and manipulative. It depends. If you're in the wrong, being abusive to her, and then she calls upon her friends to help out, just like the other point, when she's always rushing to her friend because of every single little micro drama, right? Well, this is kind of like turning the tables, vice versa once again, right? But this could be an abusive case scenario. We don't have enough information to ascertain that. Or it could be a controlling, manipulative, just kind of like just plain toxic, she has problems, mental problem scenario. We don't know what the severity is. But let's see what we do know. All my friends think you're wrong. Okay, so we're back to square one, ladies and gentlemen. I warned you. When you guys get friends involved, look what we have, right? We have here a West Side Story. We have this gang of your friends going against her gang of friends. How stupid and ridiculous is that? You guys don't love each other in that case. If you guys are literally having a battle between who's right and wrong, and you call upon your support, your air support to drop the bombs, your friends, the tanks and the jets, you guys are stupid. Both of you. I'm not going to even pick a side in that case. Imagine calling upon your friends to argue with other friends You guys lack responsibility, maturity, intelligence, all of the above in that case scenario. Wow, that is just the most ridiculous thing ever. West Side Story. All right, so let's dive into the circus of drama within the gender war. I don't even know what to expect. I don't even pre-read these, so let's go ahead and rock and roll. It's a great test of my knowledge, I swear. All right, so beginning with the ladies, as always, ladies first. Hopefully they're behaving today. Number 1, I met you as a diamond in the rough. 10 years later, wow, you're still rough. Well, that's quite insulting. And I'm exhausted from digging. My love was not an investment for you to plateau. Okay, a plateau. Her point is that she feels like she invested years of support and energy in a man who was all potential, but he got comfortable and never grew into the partner he promised to be. Okay, was there a legit excuse for that? Dang. Making her feel like she wasted her prime years on a promise that never matured. What were you expecting, lady? I mean, we really need context here. A diamond in the rough. If you really did think the guy, I gotta side with the guy here. I don't know what's going on, but just on the surface, at face value, if you think that your partner, the guy, is a diamond in the rough, you spend 10 years with him, why are you disappointed in your quote-unquote investment? What are you talking about? You invested your life and you think he plateaued. How did he plateau? Is he feeling down, unmotivated? Jeez Louise. What did the guy do wrong? I mean, got comfortable and never grew into the partner he promised. Okay, look, I'll toss her a bone, okay? A little bit of credit here. If it's true, let's say let's not take it at face value. If it's true that the partner that he promised to be, was it supposed to be like a loving, caring, fall in love forever relationship, and he's not holding up his side? Maybe he's mediocre and boring. He doesn't want to do anything with you. The love isn't there. I'll give her all the credit. If you got like just a deadbeat next to you and there's no legitimate excuse for it, he's just being a sore, sour loser and he doesn't really love you, I'll give you 100% credit to the lady. But if that's not the case and she's just complaining and nagging, give the point to the guy. And that's where I gotta leave it. We don't have enough to ascertain exactly what they mean, but I'm leaning more towards the guy just changed and he made a bunch of promises, because she's talking about grew into the partner he promised to be. But that could go either way, professionally. But no, I think she's leaning more towards intimately the partner. In the end, they got issues. They got to work it out. We need more context for that one. Number 2, you call my expectations nagging. I call them the basic requirements of an adult you promised to become. Okay, this is like a continuation of number 1. You wanted a girlfriend, not a life. And you're angry I'm not content being just the former. Okay, so just a girlfriend. Her point is that his refusal to follow through on basic adult responsibilities gets rebranded as her nagging, which twists the situation so her disappointment looks like her fault instead of his inaction. Okay, that sounds pretty legit, right? I mean, if the guy is irresponsible, doesn't look like this, kind of falls in sync with number 1. They're not the same person, by the way. These are all different. But yeah, I'm going to have to lean in favor of her because it's not nagging, it's not drama. I really can't stand that when immature men do that. They're like, she's nothing but drama and always nagging. When in reality, it's not always the case. Many men lie about it and they use that as a curtain, as a cover-up. She's just trying to get you to be a better person, to be responsible, to be loving and caring in the relationship. And that's what I was saying about number 1. If that's the case, then that guy is just, you got to drop him like a bad habit. It's over. Breakup, divorce, he's never going to love you. And so, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give the point to the woman here because it sounds like that's the case. Of course, we don't hear anything from the man that we're going to go over that in a little bit what the men say about all these topics, right? All these topics. But these points, rather, under this topic of nagging. But let's go ahead and go on to number 3, shall we? You say you don't know what you want. So I've been standing still for 5 years. Okay, there's another investment issue, right? Investing your years with a partner who, doesn't know what they want. Waiting for you to figure it out. That's not patience. That's me letting you waste my life. Okay. There's a lot of resentment here in these words, I swear. Her point is that his indecision on major life milestones isn't philosophical. It's a passive choice that actively traps her in limbo and steals time she can't get back. Okay, so a lot of anxiety about aging, right? I mean, when you're with the wrong person, it's going to feel like that. It's inevitable. Like, man, he doesn't love me. Man, she doesn't love me. Am I wasting my life? You could be, but things could change for the better. Who knows, right? I mean, you can always hope for the best, but you gotta be able to, a relationship should not feel like you're playing chess with your partner, or 3D chess, all right? As many people say. You shouldn't be doing mental gymnastics when you're in a relationship. That's a bad sign. Does it mean that the relationship is failing? Maybe. Does it mean that you guys could still turn things around? Maybe. Every case by case. That's why I did an entire series case by case. It depends on how you steer the ship, right? There's 2 captains on that boat. So it's up to you guys to turn things around. But yeah, still for 5 years, wasting your life away with a partner who is indecisive. It really depends here what she means by milestones, major life milestones. Are those professional ones? Because that's not the main focal point. You guys could be poor and living in a box on the street, but as long as you guys have love, true love, you're the richest people in the world. Believe it or not, that's the way true love works. Anybody who argues that point is an idiot. So let's go ahead and go on to number 4. True love is the real gold in this life, I swear. I've been your biggest cheerleader, but you don't want a cheerleader. You want an audience for your perpetual warm-up act. All right, what does she mean by that? The game never starts. Her point is that he enjoys the support and the idea of someday more than the hard work of real achievement, turning her encouragement into a pointless performance with no payoff. What do you mean by a perpetual warm-up? Okay, so over and over again, right? Okay, so she is his biggest cheerleader, as she puts it. But you don't want a cheerleader. You want an audience for your perpetual warm-up act. Not sure what she's going on about there. The game never starts. What's supposed to start here? A little bit convoluted here, right? Her point is that he enjoys the support and the idea of someday more than the hard work of real achievement. This is just really messed up. I'm going to just label this as inconclusive. Let's move on to number 5. Wow. Didn't expect that. I don't know what look, it's really not, that doesn't sound like much to actually complain about, whatever that sounds like. Number 5. You see a strong woman and call her a finished product. You can't improve. Oh, great. So you feel inadequate. Well, that's a sense of jealousy, isn't it? The same thing with OnlyFans. If a woman is making tons of money on OnlyFans, good for her. My goodness, it's probably hard. If it's a lot of competition out there. Who cares? She's making her bag, as they say, her money. Who cares? Oh, it's immoral. No, it's a way of making money, and it's her body, her choice. Why are guys complaining about that? So let's go ahead and go over this finished product, because that's what I consider one of many different ways a woman can be a finished product. If you want to call her a product, my goodness. Talk about, women as objects. You'd rather be the hero to a mess than an equal partner to a whole person. That's your insecurity, not my problem. Sounds like it is your problem if you're in a relationship with him. Her point is that some men are intimidated by women who don't need fixing. That's not what a real... You don't get into a relationship with a woman to fix them. No man wants that. And that's like kind of like a misperception from immature women out there. Stop trying to change me. Stop trying to fix... You're playing like... No, we're not, honey. Some things don't make sense. Maybe there is toxic behavior. Maybe it's just completely confusing behavior. You got to talk about it. Fixing the relationship when there's problems like that, yes. If you're afraid to change for the better, do not waste anybody's time. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You need to grow together. What is growth, ladies and gentlemen? Change. You want to be stubborn and stupid about it? Fine. Go ahead and smash that repeat button, like a chimpanzee with the cymbals, over and over again. Or the Easter egg, what is it? That bunny, the Energizer bunny. Revealing that they want a project to control more than they want a true partner, and then blame the woman for their own insecurity. This is just really stupid, okay? Like, that's why I call it the stupid gender war. It's such a stupid gender war. It really is. What are we talking about, right? A finished product and, your insecurity. No, this is an overgeneralization of men. We like to fix things, but that's not every man. Many men don't like fixing things. But when it comes to the relationship, you better fix things together. What are you talking about, woman? And a relationship is 50-50. All right? Both of you guys have to fix it. Women who fix things are so sexy and attractive, I swear. When they try to learn how to fix things like physical things or situations, a woman in charge, but not bitchy, right? Nobody wants a bitchy woman. All right? I mean, somebody who's in charge, but still respectful, still professional, has a lot of tenacity, very tenacious in challenging situations. Like a Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, right? It's not fiction, people. It's an attitude. You have to mimic that type of passionate attitude if you want to accomplish great things in this life. All the superheroes with their powers, it's an over-exaggeration of what we can do in reality. The decisions, the mindset that you choose to adopt, and the decisions, the actions that you choose to take, that pretty much takes care of number 5. It's an overgeneralization. It's a sexist attitude. No, men don't want to fix things. When you're mansplaining, that word should not even exist. That's just feminism extremism. That's what that is. Feminist extremism. All right, so let's go ahead and shift gears over to the gentleman. Number 1, you fell in love with my potential, the idea of the man you could sculpt. Now you resent the real, actual man I am. You didn't want a partner. You wanted a project to complete you. Oh, right, this one mimics number 5 from the women. His point is that he feels loved only for a future idealized version of himself, not for who he is now. This is kind of true, actually, with lots of toxic women out there. Very common, which makes his present self feel perpetually inadequate and like their whole relationship is conditional. Well, yeah, all love is conditional, actually, because if it's not, then it's not going to work. I understand what people mean by unconditional love, but trust me, a plant needs water to grow, sunlight to grow. These are the conditions in order to grow. The same applies to a relationship. You need maturity, intelligence, patience, courage, wisdom. You need the whole package, the whole 9 yards and more to grow. So here it's more like nagging and manipulation, right? Now, if she's toxic, I give the bone to the guy here. All right? Point to the guy. But, if he's over, generalizing women, he's got a point for the toxic ones, but not all women are like that, right? To sculpt a man. But it is extremely important, whether you're a man or a woman. You have to love your partner for who they are right now. The present moment. That's why they call it the present. It's the gift of life. And, because the present is going to be the past. Right now, it's already the past. And the future, well, that's the present moment right now. It's amazing how that works. Number 2, you say you wasted your best years on me. Oh, this is kind of like a response. Nice. So our time together was just a ledger for you? Yeah, that's what it kind of feels like, right? Unless you're being a total deadbeat, right? Then she has the reason to say those things. I was just a placeholder for the better life you felt entitled to. His point is that framing their past together as a waste turns every memory sacrifice and moment of love into a transaction that didn't pay off, which feels like she never valued him, just his utility. Yeah, that's very valid if that's the case. 100% agree with that. Like, what are you talking about? We've been through so many ups and downs. We've conquered mountains together. And this is how you feel? Kind of makes you feel worthless, right? If that's all she cares about is your life milestones that you promised you were going to complete, but you never did. I agree with not making promises you can't keep, but sometimes you really do want to fulfill those promises, but you just can't fulfill them. It's okay. Like, chill out. But if she can't chill out about it, maybe she has different interests in you, and you are just nothing but a utility. All right, so number 3, my value to you is a list of checked boxes. All right, so once again, harping on that same tone, right? Provider, father, therapist, handyman. Yeah, Mr. Fix-It, right? I thought she didn't like that. The moment I fail at one, I'm not trying. You don't see a person, you see a function. Right, he said utility before. His point is that he feels like a tool. All right, we're getting pretty literal here. Valued only for his performance and specific roles. If he slips up in one area, he feels her love and respect withdraw because she sees the function failing, not the person struggling. Okay, so, using and abusing here. Totally supportive, of that. If it is, in fact, that, yes, 100% agree with number 3. Number 4, you claim you built me up, but every accomplishment of mine is now a shared credit. You can't just be happy for me. You need to be a part of it. My success can't be mine alone. His point is that her support came with invisible strings, an expectation that his wins are also hers. Yeah, but they are. That's true, though. Her wins are your wins, and his wins are her wins, right? That's a little... no, I wouldn't go that angle, buddy. Which makes his achievements feel borrowed and dismissed. Oh, diminishes his sense of personal pride and ownership. No, because let me tell you what, when you truly love your partner, their accomplishments are your accomplishments. It doesn't mean you take credit for them. Who's going to be ridiculous enough to say that? That's completely false. It just means that when you really love your partner, everything they achieve by themselves or with you, with your help, even if it's a little bit of help, maybe even an idea, it's beautiful because it's not about credit. It's about feeling a part of growing together. Wow, you really excelled. You got to be proud of each other's accomplishments and mutual accomplishments. That's the most important. Those are the most important ones. How you guys grow together. Regardless if you get the promotion at work or some type of, lucky event happens with you, or maybe you earn something that you work so hard for. What good is it without sharing that success with your partner? Because if you feel like that, no, this is my personal pride. I own this. This is mine. Yeah, I don't think you're really in love with your partner. But if your partner reacts in a negative way, jealous of your accomplishments, or saying that's not good enough, you need a better promotion, or you need to earn more money, or that's obviously not love. I mean, you don't even need an elementary school student to figure that out. All right, so that pretty much knocks out number 4, whatever that case may be. Number 5, you say I changed and blame me. I didn't change. I stopped performing the exhausting version of myself that I thought would earn your love. That doesn't... No. No, that's not good. That's not a good feeling. That's not... no, that's not a good relationship right there. This is me. You just don't like the cost of admission. His point is that he was pretending to be someone else to meet her expectations. This is more like coming from a mother expecting their children to, get straight A's in school. Like I grew up with such a mother. That's extremely toxic. Many times I got a B plus, an A minus. She's like, why isn't it an A plus? It should have been an A plus. If you let that get to you, you're gonna go psychotic. Luckily, I always got a gentleman C a lot of times in difficult times. Or I did get that B or that C plus, whatever it was in school. Hard times as a little kid. But if your mother's behind you like that, but this is a relationship, okay? She shouldn't be acting like a toxic mother like mine was in that regard. It's one thing to motivate your partner to do better in life, but it's another thing to expect them to do it. You know, like there's some type of machine, right? No, we're better than machines. We have a spirit, we have emotions. Oh my goodness, we have a soul. We have feelings and thoughts of our own. You can't treat each other like freaking machines. I don't care how technologically supposedly advanced our world becomes. We're not droids, we're not androids, okay? All right, let's go ahead and finish this point off, right? All right, so, and her anger at him changing is actually anger at him dropping the act and showing his real, less perfect self. Nobody should be acting in a relationship, period. Got it? Get it? Good. That's a toxic relationship. That's a fake relationship. Or maybe both. Nobody should be acting. You guys got to be yourselves. You guys got to fall in love with each other's true selves. So drop the act. If you guys are acting if it's out of fear, if it's out of anxiety or worry that if I stopped acting this way, my partner's not going to love me anymore. You know what? Your guard's going to drop one day, reveal your true self, and that's when doomsday is going to happen. Judgment day. Don't play games in a relationship. You guys got to have open hearts the entire time. Open minds. Maturity, right? Otherwise, it's not going to work. You know, you can't play Mr. Cool, I'm such a badass, and she can't be like, yeah, I'm such a bossy bitch, you know, I'm in charge. Don't play games, okay? It's stupid. What do we have in store for today's maybe stupid or valid points from either side? All right, diving deep into it as always, beginning with the women. Let's see what they're saying here is valid or stupid. On dating app profiles, if I see one more man's profile with a dead fish, a gym mirror selfie, and fluent in sarcasm, I'm gonna lose it. Your entire personality is a meme from 2014, and you wonder why you're still single. We'll take a closer look at that. Let's see what her point is. Women are exhausted by men who put zero original thought into presenting themselves, relying on low-effort, recycled tropes that signal a lack of self-awareness or depth. All right, is it really, though? Let's take a look at that. A man's profile with a dead fish. Okay, so he likes fishing? Okay, what if he really does like fishing, though? And a gym mirror selfie, that's great that he goes to the gym. And fluent in sarcasm. Well, he's trying too hard to be funny. There's nothing wrong with that. So 1 point for the men. Yeah, that belongs in the garbage bin. What are you talking about? Number 2, on mansplaining and podcasts. Men who get their entire worldview from misogynist podcast bros are the most confident and least informed people on the planet. You're not red-pilled. You're just regurgitating hateful talking points you paid $10 a month to hear. The point is, women see a direct link between men consuming certain online content and the rise of arrogant, anti-woman rhetoric in everyday interactions. Yeah, I do have to agree with this. You know, point for the women, it's not mansplaining. That's such a stupid term. Got to give her like minus half a point there. But yes, podcast, you know, just today, thanks to a viewer of mine, pointed out a young woman who hates all men, and there she is with over 500,000 subscribers talking trash about men. And it's like, wow, who hurt you in your past? You know, it's just really despicable. It really is. All the man hating, all the women hating. And then she doesn't even know the plural form for woman. She says woman, woman. No, it's woman singular and women plural. Go back to school. So there's a lot of hatred online with YouTubers. You know, there's, you know, women who hate all men, and then there's men who hate all women. Have to emphasize the plurals there. Somebody failed elementary. And, you know, it's really pathetic. So I have to give her credit here. But minus half a point for the mansplaining word. Gotta stop using that immature term. All right, so on male loneliness, let's see what she has to say here. Men will have the emotional openness of a brick wall. That could be true because they're weak and, quiet. Silence is weakness. Yeah, that's true. Not all men, obviously. Do zero work on themselves. Well, that could be true if it's laziness or lack of willpower, sure. Have no genuine friendships. Well, you don't have to have friendships in order to be significant. I mean, it's healthy to have maybe at least one friendship that's solid, genuine. And then go online to blame women for the male loneliness epidemic. No, 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 no. That's not dependent on if you have genuine friends or not. Work on themselves, that's very vague. You have to be very more specific here. That's still not quite applicable for the male loneliness epidemic. Emotional openness, yes, because they just suck at trying to find a good partner. So then they complain that, there's no good women out there. I tried. No, you didn't, you idiot. You only tried for maybe 1, 2, 3, a handful of women. It didn't go good because you just suck at trying to find the right partner. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to crawl into a little corner and cry your whole entire life away, your entire life away, it's just going to be your fault. All the fingers are pointing at you, including your own fingers. Yeah, so the male loneliness epidemic is really pathetic. Now, if you're struggling to find a partner, that's legit, as long as you don't stop trying to find the right partner for you. You see what I mean? The male loneliness epidemic should not even exist. The reason why it does exist is because men are failing at trying to find the right partner, and then they give up, and then they have to label it male loneliness epidemic. Many of them claim that no, men didn't label male loneliness epidemic, the women did. Nobody. I've seen people, literally men and women, call it the male loneliness epidemic, because the men who failed, and they're still failing because that's all they do is sit and complain 24/7 and hate all women, they use it as a crutch to say, we're suffering because the women are all toxic. No, it's because you don't know how to find the right one. And then the women use it as an insult weapon, an insulting weapon against men. They say, well, like what she's doing here, some of this is legit. The only one that's legit is the first part, emotional openness of a brick wall. Yes, that's true, but not the other parts here. Now, they will go online and blame women, so that one's true too. It's like a sandwich here, okay? Yes, no, yes. And then so she goes on to say, we are not your free therapists or emotional rehab centers. The point is women reject the narrative that they are responsible for solving a crisis of male connection that stems from men's own refusal to cultivate emotional skills and community. Yes, so 1 point for the women here, because there's a lot of pathetic men out there. And I mean this with all the care in the world. It's not insulting, it's the truth. Because if the shoe fits, you gotta wear it. Because you're refusing to put on a different pair of sneakers. You have to have the willpower to get it right. It doesn't matter how many times you tried. When you fail, you only fail when you give up. That's when you truly failed. If you're struggling to find the right person, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you never give up. The moment you give up is the moment you failed yourself. You don't owe the world nothing, but you owe yourself the world. That's failure when you choose to give up on yourself. I can't respect you at that point. Yeah, but I'm okay alone. I don't care. You're miserable, and you're going to live in denial. You're going to be part of the problem, not the solution. It's a bonfire of ignorance and stupidity out there. That's why I label it the stupid gender war. You want to be a part of that? Or you want to be part of the solution to that? Make up your mind, because I'm not going to have any mercy for those guys out there who say, I'm fine with my video games and my movies and living alone in my man cave. You're literally rotting away, dying alone, thinking that you're happy when you know you're not. And you're lying to the world by saying that you are. So I'm not going to respect you. I don't care how good you are at video games, how many movies you know, comic books, cartoons. It's all rubbish. If you don't have the love of your life by your side, which I can help you with, then you're the one failing in your own life. That's not coming from me. That's coming from you, because you know that's true and you don't want to hear it. I've had males in the past who don't deserve to be called real men, whine and complain in the comment section. I can't approve those comments because they're trying to attack me, trying to use me as their punching bag. No, you loser. Go back offline and cry yourself to sleep like you do every single day. I have nothing to do with your misery. Just because I'm up here spewing facts, that doesn't mean that you get to try to use me as your virtual punching bag. It's not going to work, buddy. So with that said, yeah, 1 point for the women here. On aesthetics and effort, men will have a crusty, yellowing PC setup, dressed like a middle schooler on laundry day, and then have the audacity to rate women's bodies online. Fix your own ecosystem before you critique others or ours. Okay, that could be true. The point is, this attacks the hypocrisy of men who hold women to high physical standards while demonstrating zero pride or effort in their own appearance and environment. Yes, I've seen this. I've seen a lot of men online critique, women till kingdom come. Yes, that's a very valid point. Now, not all men, obviously. Some of them have legit critiques. But a lot of them are stupid, like just basic cosmetic stuff, like, oh, she has artificial breasts. She got breast augmentation. That's stupid. No, you're stupid for calling that out. Women have a choice to do whatever they want with their bodies, even if they end up with fish lips in a bad situation, right? That's still their choice. Now, you can laugh at that if you want. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's really sad in my opinion. But I can see the humor in that. But not everything is fish lips, right? Many times it's like, okay, no, she's an attractive woman. She's just got maybe a procedure or two. That's her choice. It's called cosmetic procedures. Or maybe she's using a filter. Who cares? Do you know her personally? No, you don't. So you should pretty much stop it. I don't know why you're critiquing strangers online. What a waste of time. Real men have things that are, better things to do. And she is right here. Why don't you learn to work on yourselves? You can't throw rocks from a glass house, right? Another point for the women here. What can I say? It's very true. I see it online all the time. Like weak, pathetic, stupid men, trying to bash on women just because of their appearance. Like I said, rocks from a glass house. On logical debates, a man's favorite phrase is, well, actually, followed by the most emotionally charged, ignorant take you've ever heard. Well, actually. Okay, let's see what she means by that. Your logic is just your feelings in a trench coat. Okay, what do you mean by that? The point is, women are calling out the tendency of some men to hide biased, emotional reactions behind a veneer of false rationality, especially in online arguments. I don't know, because logic is subjective, and so is intelligence. Some people call other people intelligent when I don't see an ounce of intelligence or logic. So let's try to see what she means here, because I'm gonna maybe pass this one up. A man's favorite phrase is, well, actually. Okay, so maybe playing the smart role, right? Or the smart ass. Maybe emotionally charged, ignorant take you've ever heard. All right, so your logic is just your feelings in a trench coat. Okay, this is a really soft argument. Nothing really to bite off there. Bored men will do that online. They'll try to be a smart ass. Like, I've seen it way too many times. I passed this one. It's not significant. Shifting gears over to the men. Let's see if there's anything exciting here. On dating standards, men say, women with a list of 50 requirements including 6 foot, 6 figures, and 6 inches. That's funny. While bringing a personality of, I like travel and tacos. Well, there's nothing wrong with traveling and tacos, but I understand what you mean. And a maxed out credit card, yeah, that's bad. To the table. Yeah, well, let's see what kind of angle this is. Are the reason dating is broken? Well, no, there's a lot of reasons why. You can't just, barrel it down to narrowing it down to that. I don't really... Let's give him a shot. Okay. You're a walking demand with no comparable offer. The point is, men are calling out what they see as unrealistic, hypergamous standards on apps, arguing many women offer little in return for their extensive checklists. Well, I've seen men with 50 requirements too. Actually, I had this contractor come over to my home once, and he was like talking to me about his relationship problems. Because, he knows that I help people with relationships. And then he said, well, I just can't find a woman to meet like my 100. He literally pulled out a checklist. I'm not kidding you. I wish I was making this up. 100-point checklist. At that point, I was just like, yo, dude, just get back to what, we're paying you to do, right? Like, just fix the problem in the house and then, because I don't have time to read your 100-point checklist, right? I mean, it was ridiculous. And then he goes on to read the first 5 points, and it was just like the most stupidest things you can possibly imagine. This happened about a decade ago. And when I was back living in the States, and I was like, I really don't got the time to be listening to this. It was so nitpicky. So, no, I firsthand have seen at least one guy. Other people online, I've seen like not a laundry list, but at least half a dozen. 6 main points. I would narrow it down to, yes, 3 to 10 maximum. But realistically, your top 5 or top 3, the woman has to be like this. That's how well you should know what your gustos are, what you really want, your requirements. Because if you're going to spend your entire life with a person, you better have a top 3 at least of the requirements. She's got to be able to do this. She's got to be able to believe in that, or be this way or that way. And maybe a couple more. Like I said, half a dozen, right? 10 maximum, but you're really pushing it, okay? Now, could be 10 maximum requirements if she works on that. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we're talking about here. I would phase out the argument about travel and tacos. That doesn't bring anything to the table. Maxed out credit card, who cares, right? I mean, that's irresponsible financial spending. So, yeah, that's evidence of maybe that's a red flag there, right? You don't want to get with somebody like that. But not all women are like that. And the 6-foot requirement, a lot of women don't mind. I mean, look at Tom Cruise. He's not 6 foot, right? There's other, I know it's a celebrity, but it's just an example of, the 6 inches is debatable too. There are stupid women out there who demand 10 inches, which is highly unrealistic. And guys, a lot of guys lie about how many inches they have. Not interested in that either. That's just silly business right there. So, this is a very weak argument here, number one. I can't believe I'm spending so much time on this, but this is very weak. I'm going to pass this up, and I'm going to just condemn it because this was very immaturely put together. The only thing I agree with is the 50 requirements, because women do it, men do it, not all men and women, end of story. All right, so number 2, on soft life advocacy. The soft life movement, that's so cringe. Is just women rebranding gold digging. Just say gold digging. Why do we have to keep rebranding things? For the Instagram age. You don't want a partner. You want a sponsor so you can post about your piece that someone else funds. Okay. I get it. There are gold diggers out there. I get it, but not all women. The point is, men view this trend as a transparent attempt to glorify a return to traditional provision without accepting any of the traditional reciprocal duties. That's not necessarily true. It's never going to be like the past black and white days where the man supports the woman 100%. There are many men out there, such as myself. I feel that way, that the man should be the provider. But yeah, the economy is pretty brutal. Sometimes your partner has to pull the weight as well. It depends. But ideally, yeah, the man should pull all the weight because the woman takes care of the household and children if you have any. Now, if you don't have any children, then yeah, the place should be squeaky clean, dinner on the table, whatever. It depends what you guys agree with, because I believe both the man and the woman should be in the kitchen at different times. And I also believe cleaning and duties like chores are both partners' responsibilities. I even mentioned that in my book many times. But what I'm trying to tell you is that those are mutual responsibilities. So what he's trying to say here about gold digging doesn't really apply to the rest. I mean, yeah, gold digging will always exist, and you can rebrand it the soft life, which is really ridiculous. There's always another set of problems. It's not always financial, like personal problems, mental and emotional problems, past baggage, right? And, just stubbornness outright. So sponsor you. Well, you're just describing what a gold digger wants here. So, I mean, that's not all women. There's plenty of women who are not interested in a man's wallet. And, I cringe so bad when men argue. They say, no, all women care about is your wallet. That is so stupid. You're talking about toxic females who don't deserve to be called real women. Understand? There's just toxic males who don't deserve to be called real men. You should know who these people are and just simply avoid them. They're not that hard to detect. My goodness. It's your failure to detect them right away that's flawed. And that's why you go out saying that all women are like this. That's an ignorant statement. It's completely false. There are plenty of women who, yes, they won't mind if you have money to bring to the table to make life a little easier or a lot easier. This is why they say the soft life. But not all women care about that. They care about what's in your heart, what's in your soul, what's in your mind. They really do. And if you laugh at that, you're the joker. That's really ironic, isn't it? So with that said, I'm going to have to leave number 2 alone. It's not a strong argument. Just because you mention one type of toxic, female doesn't mean that you're right about all females in general. Number 3, on selective feminism. Modern feminism is a buffet. You take equal pay and sexual freedom, but leave chivalry, financial protection, and never being wrong on the table. You want the perks of both traditional and modern roles, while men get the responsibility of both. The point is, men accuse women of engaging in a self-serving, contradictory ideology that maximizes female benefit and male burden. I mean, yeah, that's a feminist extremist who's stupid. All the feminist extremists are stupid. Really stupid. I'm talking about just dirt stupid, not worth anybody's time or life. Makes them easier to avoid, right? Just don't give them what they want. They're like trolls. They want attention. You don't feed the trolls. That's what feminist extremists are. I'm against all toxic females and all toxic males. It's always 50-50 with this channel and my beliefs. I want real men and women to step up to the plate and fix this nonsense or ignore this nonsense. If it's not fixable, just ignore it. Let those people burn in their own fires that they created for themselves and that they're still standing in until the very end, until their bones in the dust. You understand? Because modern feminism doesn't even exist. Feminism has already reached its pinnacle, and I don't care about the equal pay thing. I can explain that away easily. Just switch companies. Go get a different job. Stop whining. It is what it is. It's the higher-ups that make those calls. It's the culture of the business. It's not, men against women in the patriarchy. Like, shut up. It doesn't work that way. So what this guy is saying here is that, yes, you're right about feminist extremists, but that's not all women at all. There's many women who don't even participate in that extremism. So let's move on to number 4. I understand his point, but I gotta shoot these down accordingly. It doesn't matter if it's the men or the women saying this. On victimhood clout. Yeah, okay, so the victim card, I imagine. Women have turned being a victim into social currency online. That's interesting to say. The more trauma dumping and vague posting you do, yeah, well, that's just for attention, right? Like I said, don't feed the trolls. The more engagement and support you get. Yeah, what is that? Rage baiting, they call it? They don't even call it trolling anymore. They call it rage baiting. It's created an incentive to always be aggrieved. The point is, men are criticizing what they see as a performance of suffering. Yeah, I've seen it all the time. For attention and community validation on social platforms, arguing it rewards dysfunction. Yes, I've seen so many stupid women out there who say, I have this mental disorder and this one, and you can clearly tell that they don't. They just have a bad attitude problem. Okay, they're so desperate. They play the victim card all the time. I've seen it. I haven't seen any men do this. I've seen fake crying when they start the camera and then they start to cry, tell the story. Maybe it's take 2 because the camera wasn't recording the first time. It really is pathetic. They just want attention. They want sympathy. They're playing the victim card. They're shoving it in the camera, figuratively. It's just, you can see, you should be able to see straight through them. But unfortunately, there's always going to be those little schmucks in the comments who support them like, oh, I feel your pain and I have that mental issue too. And if it's a legit mental issue, kudos. But how many times do you see people pretending to have that? Seriously? Like, it's like, no, you're just an attention monger. You just want attention for the wrong reasons. You know, and that's what I consider that offensive. Because the people who really do have those mental issues, you're offending them indirectly. It's not that they care, but it's kind of, it's really shameless is what it is. So yeah, I'll give a point for the guy here on number 4. Absolutely, there's so much of that garbage, and I don't really see men doing that at all. All right, final point from the men here. What do you got on accountability avoidance? A woman's ultimate argument ender is, I don't give you anything. I don't owe you anything. Well, same thing. It's the slogan of a generation that wants the right to judge everyone harshly, while accepting zero responsibility for their own actions, communication, or contributions. The point is, this phrase has become a flashpoint. Men see it as a mantra used to justify ghosting, poor treatment, and a total lack of reciprocity while maintaining a moral high ground. Okay, but how many women actually do this? There's going to be tons of toxic women who do a ton of garbage stuff, right? I don't owe you anything. I don't even care what this is about. If you hear anyone say that, man or woman, I don't owe you anything. I don't know. Are you just some stranger that I met you online and you shouldn't really care about what the guy thinks because they're toxic or the woman thinks? I mean, okay. But if you're talking about a relationship, I mean, you can't say it's a slogan of a generation that wants the right to judge everyone harshly while accepting zero responsibility for their own actions. Like, you know, a flashpoint, seriously? No, ghosting is the most pathetic thing anybody can do. It's cowardice. You need to end things either amicably or stringently. Because ghosting, if you run into that person later on, you're pretty much asking for trouble, depending on what the scenario is. You know, so poor treatment and total lack of reciprocity, moral high ground, these are just this all toxic characteristics. This is kindergarten, okay? It really is, people. Like, what are we talking about? So this whole last point is kind of weak. Unfortunately for the men in this presentation, you know, they're kind of like weaker than the female points, but that doesn't mean all men. There's tons of great men out there, you know, who don't whine and complain about toxic women all the time. They actually invest their time wisely, the moments of their life, on trying to find the perfect partner. There's so many candidates, if they're a good guy, obviously. But if they're, you know, a deadbeat or a loser, then they're going to have a hard time finding the right woman. What do we have today for either stupid or completely logical valid points from either men or women? Let's go ahead and take a little bit of a dive. Not so much of a deep dive. Going to simplify things from now on, shall we? Things can get way too chaotic in here. Beginning with the women. Top 3 points now. The public space hog. All right. What is that about? A man will occupy a physical space. Oh, great. Here we go. Like he's claiming land. All right. So what do they call it? Not mansplaining, but manspreading, I believe, many years ago. We're still doing that. Sprawling on public transit. Look, I mean, I gotta say right off the bat, I mean, if it's just like on purpose, being a jerk, being stupid, just spreading your legs completely, you know, to the empty seats to your left and right, claiming that you need to air out the sack, whatever you want to say, it's not really valid. You know, you're just being an idiot. But if you're just kind of sort of spreading your legs just to be comfortable, that's fine. You know, if somebody's going to come up in an empty seat next to you, you know, because there's no other place to sit or that's where they want to sit, whatever. There's a lot of different scenarios there, but let's go ahead and proceed, okay? That's just covering the obvious, the painfully obvious. Standing in the middle of a grocery aisle, holding a loud conversation in a quiet cafe. I mean, this is debatable. Sometimes, you know, men or women are naturally a little bit louder than others. Some of them are way more louder than others. It's debatable, really, but as long as you're not being a jerk, right? Standing in front of somebody when you know they're right behind you, making it inconvenient for them to go around you. But once again, that's the obvious, right? I have to state it because some people just, wow, you'd be surprised. His existence is a declaration of dominion. Yeah, this is just a total ass. And everyone else's comfort is a negotiation he didn't attend. Her point is that men demonstrate a fundamental lack of spatial awareness and consideration, which women interpret as an unconscious assertion of priority and a disregard for shared public environments. All right, look, there's not really much here to argue. I get it, the public space hog, but women can do the same thing, okay? It doesn't only apply. This is, you know, it applies to both sexes, both genders here. You know, it's unisex, right? So, you know, this isn't really a strong argument from the women here. Because women do this type of thing too. That's what I have to say about number one. Let's go ahead and move on. That's too easy. I'm kind of surprised by how easy that was. The performance helper. He won't lift a finger at home. Okay, this is interesting. But watch him sprint to help a random woman with a heavy box at the post office, for example. It's not kindness. It's a public audition for masculinity. It could be proving he's capable to strangers while willfully incompetent for his partner. Well, in this case, yes. So her point is that this selective helpfulness highlights the rage women feel watching men perform for social credit. It's not really China, but I get it. In public, while practicing strategic helplessness in private where it actually matters. Look, if that's the case, where your guy is like very helpful to other women when you're in public, right in front of you, or not when he's alone with a woman somewhere, there's a huge thick line, a huge titanium wall between being chivalrous, you know, chivalry, being nice, right? To women or men, it doesn't matter. I hold the door open for a man or a woman. Who cares? You're being polite, right? But I'm not going to be standing there holding the door open like I work for the place, right? The store that I'm frequenting or any building that I go to. That's not my job. I'm not the doorman, right? But it doesn't matter, man or woman. If I think that it's appropriate to hold the door open or to open it for them, whatever the case is. But this isn't the case. So her argument here is legit. There's a lot of asses out there who they're not real men. They're not really gentlemen. They're not in love with their partners. So they try to get that feeling of resentment out while they're in public, trying to be all nice and courteous to other women and then be a complete you know what when he gets home with her. It's hypocrisy. It's the lowest of the lowest. A lot of bad words I can insert there. So you guys get the point. But that's the case in this particular case, the performance helper. Yeah, so point for the women in this particular case. Number 3, the empathy mime. In a group sharing emotional stories, a man's face will perform the exact concerned expression he's seen in movies, nodding at all the right places. But his eyes are dead. That's interesting. He's simulating empathy as a social ritual, not connecting. You can see the algorithm running behind his eyes. That's creative. Her point is that some men navigate emotional exchanges in a performative clinical way, making women feel like they're being processed by an empathetic AI rather than connecting with a human. Well, this is kind of interesting. So the empathy mime, I'm not going to run the whole thing by me again, but I have to go through a few key points here. In a group sharing emotional stories. Okay, so in a group of friends or strangers, whatever have you. So a man's face will perform the exact concerned expression seen in what does movies... What do you mean? Like just going through the motions, not really all there in the present moment? Simulating empathy as a social ritual? Like you're not... This isn't something that's man-specific, men-specific. What are you talking about? Not connecting? Like this is just somebody who's not all there. Maybe he's not feeling good or something. Or maybe he's just a boring guy, right? This is not even a good point here. The empathy mime. My goodness, I feel sorry for any woman who actually falls for that. Let's go ahead and shift gears to the men, shall we? Because what a snooze fest with that one. All right, so the social sniper, the first one for the men here. In a group setting, all right, a woman will give another woman a glowing compliment to her face. All right. Then the moment, oh, okay, I get this. I know where this is going. Then the moment she leaves, dissect her life choices, relationship, and outfit with surgical precision. Yeah, okay. So this is a toxic female we're talking about. The camaraderie is a live action event. The critique is the post game show. So his point is obviously that men are deeply distrustful of what they see as a two-faced social code among women, where warmth is performative and real opinions are reserved for private, brutal commentary. Well, it's not necessarily two-faced, perhaps. It could be. That's a very classic case scenario. But let's consider the exception. Maybe she's just trying to carry things, just trying to keep things non-conflictive, right? When you talk about somebody behind their back, it could be justified, right? You don't want to stir the pot in the moment because, there's consequences for doing so, right? It's not exactly always morally incorrect to do so. There are several exceptions to talking about somebody behind their back. It's not like you work for that person. It's not like you're losing respect for that person. Number one, and it's interesting because the more you talk about somebody, the more you care about that person. Now, granted, it could be in a toxic manner, as in this case scenario, supposedly, I would suppose. But it's still not specific because look at what he's mentioning. The moment she leaves, her friend, right? Dissect her life choices, relationship, and outfit with surgical precision. It depends. Is she being nasty about it, while her friend isn't there, and then when her friend gets back in the group setting, then be like changing like Two-Face, right? It depends. Some of it is justified. So I'm going to leave it at that. It really depends on the... I need more specifics here. You can't just go off of that, alone. If it's toxic, it's toxic. If it's something that she can't say in front of her friend to you, and then she says it to you out of the safety now that her friend is gone, maybe to go powder her nose in the restroom. Now, if she's speaking to the group about her friend that went to go powder her nose, in a very nasty sense, then yes, that's a toxic person, right? All right. So let's go ahead and move on to number 2. That's kind of, yeah, it is what it is. The Q saboteur. All right. I don't speak French, but we'll go ahead and see what they mean. A woman will spend 10 minutes decisively picking out items, then get to the register and perform a full panicked search for her wallet, as if its existence is a surprise, followed by a slow, methodical payment ritual. She treats the line behind her as her personal audience, not a queue of people with their own time. Oh, okay, so the queue sabotager or something. Yeah, I get it now. His point is that this performative lack of preparedness is interpreted as a blatant disregard for others' time and an unconscious sense of entitlement to public patience. Well, this goes hand in hand with number 1 for the women, right? I mean, if she's being a jerk, because it does apply to both sexes, right? That she's being a jerk, right? She's being rude. She doesn't care about other people's precious time. Yeah, but a man could do this too. Again, it's unisex, right? It goes both ways. I've seen this firsthand. Not a lot of times in my life, but a few times where I can remember, wow, go ahead and take your sweet time there, hero. Don't mind the entire line behind you. Now, sometimes it is what it is. You can't go faster than what you're doing, right? You're trying to go fast, but you don't want to go too fast to where now you're dropping things and stumbling, and now you're going to make it extra long because you're trying to process yourself at the register too fast. Or maybe you're going to forget something because you're in a panic because of the big line. I've met people with so much anxiety that they do that. They panic at the register. They're like, oh my goodness, there's a big line. There's a big line. Take a breath. It's okay. Everybody knows that you're not the problem unless you're going to make it your problem for us. But you're going to be part of the problem or part of the solution. Just go ahead and process yourself nice and easy. All right? Because that's what everybody else is going to do anyways. Sometimes it's not your fault. So stop worrying about it. Just process yourself in a timely fashion. You don't have to really panic about it. I've seen it go both ways. I've seen people who just don't give a damn and they take their sweet time knowing there's a long line behind them. And then I then I see people just completely having borderline panic attacks at the register, just trying to, oh my goodness, because of the line behind them. Like, chill out. I mean, just be normal. And it's okay if you take a little bit extra time because you're trying to get things, there's a long line. The last thing you want to do is come back to the damn line and be like, oh, I forgot. I have to do this too. Guess who's going to be late going home? It's your turn. Better make it count because everybody else is going to make their turn count. They have plenty of time to think about it before it's their turn, right? All right, the last point here for the men. Some people are just like clowns in a circus, like just chill out, right? It is what it is. Don't make a bad situation worse, right? The consensus tyrant. Before choosing a restaurant or a movie, a woman will demand everyone's input, sparking a 45-minute circular debate. Well, this is pretty niche. Only to ultimately make the exact choice she wanted from the beginning. Why is this so funny today? I swear. Like, these are kind of funny, I swear. The democracy was a theatrical production to validate her pre-decided preference. All right, what the heck is their point here? Seriously. So his point, this is the guy's point of view. His point is that men see this as a frustrating and inefficient ritual where the appearance of collaboration is used to mask a unilateral decision, wasting everyone's time, once again, to maintain a facade of inclusivity. Right. All right. Well, this is very niche. I can't imagine a lot of women do this. Sometimes I've seen men who are completely indecisive too. I hate to bring up unisex again, but it can go both ways. Some men make completely poor managers because of that reason. They just can't make up their mind in time. Not 45 minutes though. That's maybe an exaggeration in that aspect, but in this aspect, let's go ahead and go over just the first part and nothing more. So before choosing a restaurant, well, there's maybe a lot to choose from, right? Depends on your mood. It depends on the logistics, how many people are going with you, yada, yada. So, yeah, the restaurant could be tricky, right? It could happen to both men and women. Or a movie. Well, that should be a little bit more simple, right? But I've seen people who are going to get ready to Netflix and chill. They have a term for it, believe it or not. When you're just doom scrolling all the options that you have for Netflix, for example, or you're just looking at all the DVDs that you might have, or digital movies that you want to play, whatever the case is, and you just don't know what to play. You waste more time trying to find something to watch, and maybe in the end you just don't pick anything because your mood just changed. The urge to want to watch something fades away. There's so many different things that can happen. So whether you're choosing to go to whatever restaurant or watch whatever movie or go to wherever just to get out of the house, right? You need to vacate your house. I mean, this could apply to several scenarios. This lack of, decisiveness. And especially if you have somebody to negotiate with. Well, you want to go to this restaurant? And then she says, yeah, of course, honey. And then you're like, no, you really don't want to go. And they're like, no, I mean, I'll go if you want to go. And then it's like, okay, well, which restaurant do you want to go to? No, it's okay. Like, no, I just want you because you didn't react normal. Like, it's just such a mess when you're trying to pick at each other's minds. But if it's not that case, it's just like, she might say, yeah, let's go to that restaurant. And then after you guys go to the restaurant and come back home, I really wanted to go to this other restaurant. Why didn't you tell me? Well, because I didn't want to, it's just such a mess. And it's not really stupid. It's just a lack of maturity, right? You have to have an open mind and an open heart in a relationship. If you don't, you're just going to run into stupid disagreements and problems. And it's just, you guys aren't working as a team, And then it's like, you ask her if like, hey, you okay? I'm fine. That's false, right? She's lying to you. These little mind games, mental gymnastics, bending over backwards and doing backflips and handsprings mentally, is so terrible. An entire floor routine. It's actually a form of toxicity if you think about it, because it's like throwing a monkey wrench into the relationship, I swear. But yeah, it is like a facade, and it gets exhausting, especially if you've been together 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, heck, maybe even 1 year, and it's really that bad right off the bat. And you're considering if you guys should take it to the full lifetime or not. So, yeah, number three, it does have some validity. It's not something stupid. Number two from the men as well. I can see that happening, but it works both ways. So is number three. And number one for the men, the group sending about talking about somebody behind their backs. Well, men do it too. That's also unisex. And let's go ahead and cover the women really quick too with just the general, census here. So the public space hog. Well, yeah, mainly men do that, but women could do that too with their bags. They'll put all their bags in the seat next to them and be like, well, I don't know where to put my bags if you need a seat. Well, that's too bad. Sucks to be you. They can do that. And number two from the women, the performance helper, right? Well, women could do that too. They can treat you like garbage at home. And then they're not necessarily opening doors for men, but being extra specially nice to men outside in front of you. They could do that too. And then the empathy mime, the group sharing. Okay. So that one again was a little tricky, right? That's like, she's not all there. There you go. So she's not all there. That can apply to women too. So all six of these points, strangely enough, apply to both sides. All right. Let's see what we have in store for the intense, stupid gender war. There might be some valid points. Who knows? Always give it a shot. Always give it a chance. Beginning with the ladies. Let's see what they have. The unrequested auditor. A man will listen to a woman give a polished professional presentation. Then his only question is to clarify a minor, irrelevant statistic she mentioned in passing. He's not engaging. He's conducting a public quality inspection to find the one flaw that proves he was listening critically, not collaboratively. Her point is that women in professional settings are tired of men using questions not to learn, but to subtly undermine by performing a scrutiny they rarely apply to other men. No, not all men do this. Pipe down there. All right, hotshot. Not all men do this. It seems like this particular woman here got frustrated over a guy, pointing out, nitpicking. That's a bored guy. Or he's probably just a total ass. He's not worth your time. Leave it in the past. This is a blatant exaggeration of a nothing burger. Number two, the nostalgia bully. He will force a woman to listen to a 20-minute monologue about the specs of his first car or a detailed play-by-play of a 1998 sports game. Wow, okay, that's pretty niche. It's not sharing a memory. It's a hostage situation where her time and attention are the currency for him to relive his peak. Her boredom is the price of his ego. That's pretty creative. Her point is that this attacks the one-sided, detail-obsessed reminiscing some men engage in, which feels less like connection and more like a mandatory lecture, where the woman's role is to validate his past. All right, so you're stuck in a bit of shadow mansplaining by forcing you to listen to a 20-minute monologue about the specs of his first car. Look, let's give the guy a bone, okay? Maybe he really wants you, in the relationship, obviously. That's the only thing that this applies to. Maybe he wants you to understand his passion. Hey, look, this is what I love to do. Because that's part of being compatible. Irreconcilable differences is the threat to this. So either you get into what he likes, or you're with the wrong person. End of story. That's where this is supposed to end. Now, if the guy's being an idiot, trying to force you to listen to and watch things that, just on purpose, just to be a jerk, again, you're with the wrong person. You see how that works? It's that easy. Nostalgia bully? There is no bully. It's just somebody who's being annoying or desperately trying to get your attention to pay attention to the things that he values and that he would hope that you would consider getting interested in. Otherwise, he's with the woman who doesn't give a damn about what he likes. And that's really painful. to say the least. Because he's going to be thinking in his mind, wow, she really doesn't care about what I like and what I, do, and maybe his profession. So he's going to start running in his mind like a hamster on a hamster wheel, going round and round and round, like the 300th lap of a NASCAR race. Am I with the right person? She doesn't really care about what I do. She only wants me to be into what she does, or she doesn't care if I'm not into what she does. Your passions, your thoughts, your feelings, all that. It's really grave. It really is. So number 2 right here is hard hitting, but not in the way that the woman thinks. Here's my advice for the women in this situation. Either you're with the wrong guy, or you just don't care about him. Now for the guy, if you're doing this stuff on purpose, trying to jam all this, gibberish, well, you gotta watch this because you have to. You know what you're doing. All right, let's be grown, mature adults here. Number 3, the conversation hijacker. In any mixed group discussion, a man will consistently redirect the topic back to his expertise or experience. Oh, okay. This is quite popular. Many people don't realize this. It's a subconscious function. I'll explain. If the subject is travel, he'll talk about his trip. If it's food, he'll detail his meal. The collective conversation becomes a series of monologues waiting for him to take the floor again. That's what it may seem like, but let's finish this off. Her point is that men often treat group dialogue as a series of turns to speak at people rather than a collaborative flow, like reading the room, right? Okay. Centering themselves and turning shared conversation into a showcase for individual knowledge. Okay, look. This doesn't apply in the way you think it applies all the time. Yes, there is that one guy who just won't shut up. It always has to be about him and his experiences. He's like the attention monger, right? The hoarder of attention. He has to be the center of attention. But women are guilty of this too. All right, honey? It's a two-way street in that aspect. Now, I will toss you the bone when you say this, because there's guys who just blatantly do this. They just have to get all the attention. But yes, women do it too. But there's another angle to this, right? Because let's say you're with your partner. Sometimes it might sound like that. Like we always end up talking about you. That can also be the tables get turned so many times. It can also work the opposite way. But the guys usually don't think that way. Usually it's the women who bring that up. Like, yeah, we always talk about you in the end. It might be actually funny. If you guys truly love each other, it's supposed to take in like something humorous. It's like, oh, yeah, that might be true. But if you pay close attention in the relationship, many times it ends up talking about the woman and her experiences. It doesn't matter. Who cares? You're not supposed to give a damn about it anyways. Now, the only reason you should give a damn about it is if it applies to the first thing that I said about number 3. The guy's doing it on purpose. The woman's doing it on purpose. So this one's unisex. Could be going both ways. It's very annoying. Like, well, it's like, oh my goodness. It's like the guys who would say, well, enough about my history, about my past. Enough about me. What do you think about me? Let's go ahead and shift gears to the men, shall we? What kind of 3 big points do we have for today? Number 1, the digital ghost in the room. A woman can be in the middle of a real, vulnerable conversation with you, and her phone will light up with a social media notification. Well, that could apply to men too. Watch her eyes flicker. The person in front of her instantly becomes less real than the potential of a like from a stranger. You are now completing with an algorithm for human connection. His point is that this highlights the visceral feeling of being deprioritized for digital validation, making real-time interaction feel provisional and subject to interruption by the virtual world. Newsflash, my guy, this also applies to many men out there. You don't even look at the woman when you're talking. Social media is not the problem. It's the way you handle technology. Technology is not the problem, because that's what social media is a part of, isn't it? It's how you handle it. You don't get addicted to these gadgets, smartphones, whatever it is. That's the problem. You are supposed to be the one in control. That's the problem. It's not the technology. So stop complaining about it. What you're really complaining about is, wow, she really doesn't care when I'm talking about, wow, okay, you got another. Turn the damn phone off. Put it on silent, not vibrate. Yeah, but what if it doesn't matter. How valuable and important is your partner across from you? The one that you're supposed to be looking at and engaging. That's the only thing that's missing in today's world. That's the number one thing that men and women complain about. It's an easy fix, people. The power is literally in your hands. Turn the thing off. Just turn all distractions off. The radio in the background, the TV, right? Unless you guys are mature and intelligent enough to pay 100% of attention while you have something going on in the background. There's no excuses here, people. You can't say, man, technology this and it's not technology, buddy. It's the people operating it. Like anything in this world. I can use a car to run somebody over. Or I can just go to point A to point B the way it was designed to be used. Or a kitchen knife. You get the idea, right? The problem isn't the car, the kitchen knife, or the weapon, or social media, the technology. Stop putting the blame on other things. Okay, so let's get to the core situation, of the situation, the core of it. Okay, the digital ghost. That can apply to men and women. This is another unisex scenario. Yes, it does say a lot about them. If they can't pay attention to you and they have to have the gadget in the hand, yeah, I'm listening. It goes both ways, okay, people? All right, so number 2, what do you got? The aesthetic vanguard. She will wear wildly impractical footwear to a casual event. Really? What are those? Ensuring every activity becomes a logistical nightmare centered on her comfort. How is that? The outing is no longer about the experience. It's about managing the consequences of her choice to be a decoration first and a participant second. This is really picky, man. And a guy saying this. His point is that men interpret this as prioritizing the role of being looked at over the function of participating in, turning a shared activity into a group accommodation for an individual's aesthetic decision. What? Excuse me very much? She will wear wildly impractical. What's so impractical about her footwear? To a casual event. What? A woman's supposed to be saying this. Some toxic woman, not a guy. Every activity becomes a logistical nightmare centered around her comfort. Wow, this might be the stupidest comment I've seen yet in this series. The outing is no longer about the experience. It's about managing the consequences of her. What consequences? Decoration. It's just clothing. It's just footwear. I mean, are you saying she's obsessed with what she's wearing and not even in the present? Like, is that what you're saying? In the moment? Because of what she's wearing? All right, that might be the stupidest one. I'm going to leave it at that. Number 3, the emotional bouncer. A woman will use her changing mood as a tool. Okay, this one's better. To control the atmosphere of an entire room. Okay, that's quite a lot of power. With great power comes great responsibility, I guess. One silent sigh, one clipped response, and everyone is scrambling to diagnose and placate her. Really? The group's enjoyment becomes conditional on managing her undisclosed emotional state. His point is that some women wield unspoken emotion as a form of social control, making collective comfort hostage to their individual feelings and forcing others to play the exhausting game of emotional detective. Really? I don't think that might be true in a world of simps, but men, I don't think they would go that far. I gotta disagree with you, buddy. Use her changing mood as a tool of control? An entire room? I mean, it depends. Are the men taken? Are they single? Are they desperate for somebody? And, they're going to be kissing her feet the whole time? Like, trying to challenge the other guys to see who's the most badass in the room? Who's the most, like a cockfight. A bunch of roosters, gathering around a hen. I mean, I don't know. What's the scenario here? Because that's not what happens. Like, she could be the center of attention because of her attractiveness. Sure. The things that she says, the way she's preening her hair or moving about her body, being sensual and seductive. The body language. Sure, I can see that, but What's so bad about that? That's just a female sexuality. Not sure where he's going with this, to control the atmosphere of an entire room. I mean, what do guys do when they, take their shirt off and they're really in shape? I'm sure a bunch of women are gonna stare. They're not gonna just glance, and unless they're taken and they're really strict with their emotions and really. I mean, there's nothing wrong with appreciating one's beauty, but as long as you don't cross the line if you're taken, right? I'm not sure exactly what this guy's complaining about. The emotional bouncer. I don't know if number two is the most ridiculous or number three is. Number two makes absolutely no sense, but number three is just like, what are you complaining about? And that's another thing that idiots out there, a bunch of loser men. I don't like to call them men, but for the purpose of ease. These loser men out there, they complain about when a woman is attractive, either online or offline. Really? So you want everybody to be morbidly obese, and then, oh, okay, no, you're gonna make fun of them. You're gonna criticize them too. You can't win as an attractive woman in this world. In that regard, you can't, right? I mean, because these idiot loser men are gonna criticize you either way. If it's a fit woman, oh, she's not really hot. She's just fit. If she has too much makeup on when she really doesn't. Oh, she's got a bucket of makeup, man. I don't like that. Or she got a cosmetic procedure. Those are fake breasts. What the hell? There's attractive women and there's unattractive women. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You be the judge. I might not like the type of women that you like, but you guys got to shut up already with that stuff. Like, that means you have nothing else better to do. When you're critiquing women for little tiny things, like, these are women that you don't even plan to meet one day. You just want to, bitch and complain, like, to the nothing sphere, right? It makes no sense. Like, get a life, right? But that's not the point of number three. Number three is, it's similar to that point. I gotta say, unfortunately. I mean, look at that. The women wield unspoken emotion as a form of social control. No, she's attractive and gets all the attention. That's the end of that. Let's see what the madness entails for today's show. All right, jumping right into it. Beginning with the ladies. Let's see if we have some losers or we have some real women here. So, first point for the ladies is the oblivious idiot. Men are fundamentally stupid about their own health. Wow, off to a strong start. They'll walk on a broken foot for a week to tough it out, but will panic and demand you diagnose a tiny skin blemish. Really? You have a higher medical intuition for his body than he does, because he treats it like a rental car he's trying to crash. It's not bravery. It's a profound disconnect from basic biological awareness that makes him a liability. All right, so he's starting pretty serious here. The oblivious idiot? I'm pretty sure that he's well aware of his broken foot. I mean, that's an extreme situation. Yeah, men like to tough it out. It might be contrary for their own good, but that's where the phrase "be a man" comes from. Take it like a man, right? I mean, there's not really a phrase that says take it like a woman. There should be, but, there's a big, thick line between being brave and being foolish. In this case, walking around with a broken foot for a week is pretty foolish. You got to go get that taken care of. I mean, you could prolong it for a little bit if you have other important things to take care of and you're able to do so. But, come on, let's be honest here. That's not advisable, right? Because that broken foot could easily lead to an ankle issue, knee issue, and yada yada very quickly. Things can escalate pretty fast. But what is she complaining about? So panic and demand you diagnose a tiny skin blemish. No, that is an idiot. Somebody's going to complain over a skin blemish that you have? No, I don't. This is a very niche complaint here. This definitely does not apply to all men. Yes, I myself included, I'm guilty of toughing things out when I shouldn't. But I also know better because I'm a wise individual, so I also know when to tend to something when it's been too long, or I'm being foolish for ignoring it, especially a physical issue. Absolutely. No, I gotta disagree here. That's not a good. All right, let's just go ahead and scratch number one. That's a very weak argument. Wow, just wow. That's a lot of toxic attitude right there. Number two, the weaponized incompetent. The dumbest thing a man does is pretend to be bad at a basic task to avoid doing it. Really, man? Seriously? I don't know how the washing machine works. I don't know a single man who doesn't know how the washing machine works. Wow. Wow, okay. Isn't it an admission of ignorance? It's a declaration of war on your free time. He's betting that his performance of stupidity is less effort than the mental load of just learning, and he's almost always right. It's a strategic, calculated idiocy designed to exploit your competence. Well, I know she's exaggerating here. I mean, all the guys know how a washer machine works. I mean, maybe if there's some guys out there who don't, but that's just completely irrelevant. They're gonna have to learn, you know. I mean, this isn't the ancient days where you have to wash it in a sink or whatever. I mean, come on, people. But what is she saying here? So guys will get out of doing something simple because they don't feel like doing it. Okay, that can work both ways. There's a lot of women who will do the same thing. They will. They'll say, well, I don't want to learn that. I don't feel like it. You do it. You do it. You do it over and over again. Maybe the guy's happy to do it for her. Maybe not. Maybe it starts to get annoying and be like, well, honey, I think you should really learn. You can't always count on me to do it for you. Like cooking and cleaning. No, that's the woman's job. No, I don't think so, buddy. That's your job too. So you better learn how to do easy things like clean the bathroom, clean around the kitchen, not just dishes either. Just like if you're running a bar, you got to clean the countertops, you got to organize things, you got to take an inventory check, make sure you have everything prepared for the next week. It's like a business, your domestic life. You got to make sure everything's in stock, everything's organized. You don't have to live like a robot. You can live a little bit messy, but, that's why, hence the term spring cleaning, right? The phrase, spring cleaning. Well, it's not just spring, okay? You should maintain things throughout the entire year. At least once a week. Like really tend to things. Vacuuming, mopping, whatever it is. There's so many chores and responsibilities. Does the car need oil? Does you have to just mow the lawn? Okay, but what about the weeds? What about trimming? There's a laundry list, no pun intended, of responsibilities. So, yes, it's not incompetence. That's pretty harsh here for number two. It's not necessarily incompetence, because that's just a lazy guy, right? Guys are guilty of being lazy, but so are women. How many women do you see mowing the lawn and doing the tough stuff? Not many. Unless, they're one of those cowgirls who's like, tomboyish personalities who likes to do what the guys do. Sure. But it doesn't matter. It's not really gender-specific roles here. It's a team, working together as a team in your domestic life. Making sure everything gets done, thinking ahead of time, contingency planning, what may happen, what is supposed to happen, responsibilities, right? So here, a declaration of war on your free time, no, that's not a good match. That's just a lack of maturity and responsibility. Let's go ahead and move on. That's kind of an over-exaggeration if you ask me. Yes, that's true, but it's also not true. It depends if you guys are tired or whatnot. You guys got to work that out amongst yourselves. It's not gender specific. It's not only for men. Women do it too. Number three, the emotional illiterate. Men are emotionally ridiculous. Okay. They can name every character in a comic book universe, but have exactly 3 words for their own feelings. Fine, tired, and pissed. When pressed, they crumble into a confused silence or defensive anger. That sounds like a weak guy, seriously. Like, not even a nerd, just somebody who's not mature yet. Not yet ready to be called a real man. It's not that they feel less. It's that they've neglected the entire language of human interiority, making partnership a one-way translation job that is utterly exhausting. That also goes both ways. How many things are going to be unisex applicable here in this show? That also goes both ways. So she might be involved in soap operas or girls' nights out, whatever it is, going out shopping constantly. And then when she gets back, hey, honey, how did it go? Good. Okay, but what did you do? Nothing. How are you feeling? Fine. It goes both ways, okay? What do you mean emotionally illiterate? These are signs. These are little mini red flags that something's wrong, right? So, yes, you have to be involved in what he likes and he has to be involved in what you like. But you can't assume that all men are like this. No, they're not. I don't even read comic books and I don't even play video games on a PlayStation. I used to, about over a decade ago, but I kind of grew out of it. When you're a big man, a big boy now, you kind of grow out of games and all that stuff. I'll play a mobile game or whatever, but I'm not addicted to anything. I don't overplay something. I got better things to do, more productivity with my time. But yes, there's men in their 40s still playing games and reading comic books. Nothing wrong with that. But if it's on this level of obsession, like every character in a comic book, but they can't express their feelings, well then they're failing, right? Because if you're a silent weakling, because that's what silence is weakness, and you're unable to express yourself, you don't like the topic of love because you think it's, well then you're an idiot. You're an immature idiot, and I don't recommend you for any woman out there, because a real woman does not want an idiot by her side. Somebody who doesn't know how to express his own emotions and thoughts. If that's all he cares about is comic books and cartoons and this guy hasn't grown up. Video games. Seriously, it's nothing wrong with video games when it's on an obsessive level with hours and hours and hours, and you're in a relationship with somebody. Either you grow up or you're both the same and you deserve each other. She's a geek and you're a geek and that's the way you guys roll. It's a silly relationship, but some people, that's the way their boats float. To each their own. All right, let's go ahead and shift gears over to the men. What kind of complaints do they have? The contradiction machine. Women are stupidly inconsistent with their own standards. You don't say? Okay. They'll say that they want a nice, honest guy, but orbit the same emotionally unavailable jerk who treats them like, okay, so this is the bad boy syndrome. We know this. Like an option. They confuse drama for passion. Well, it could be passion. And stability for boredom. Then blame all men for the pattern they actively choose. Well, guys do the same thing. All women, all men. It goes both ways. It's a self-inflicted wound with an audience. All right, so what is he really complaining about? Stupidly inconsistent with their own standards. What kind of standards? They want a nice, honest guy. All right. I would hope that guys want nice, honest women, right? That's my guess. So what else is here? Are they going for the bad boys? Because a lot of guys go for the bad girls, right? All right, but they orbit the same emotionally unavailable jerk who treats them like an option. Well, yeah, so that's the bad boy syndrome. And the same with the guys. They'll go for the baddies. It works both ways, right? So stupidly inconsistent. Yeah, sure. I mean, they're not really toxic women. They're just foolish women. But not all women. I will say this. It's a huge problem out there. A lot of immature women out there. They also are silent, weak losers. A lot of them are. They don't talk about relationships. Especially like if a guy like me is speaking about relationships, they have like this sexist attitude. Well, I'm not going to say anything because he's a guy. But if it's a woman talking about relationships, oh yeah, they're going to be like paragraph after paragraph, till kingdom come. Yes, there's a lot of that foolishness out there. Immature women who they're, too shy, too weak, too quiet. Just like there's a lot of weak, shy, quiet men out there who are also afraid to talk about relationships. Yeah, it's a huge epidemic, shall I say. The zombie apocalypse of a bunch of idiots. There are great men and women out there, don't get me wrong, from all different countries, but it's becoming increasingly more rare to find them. All right, so number 2, what do you have here? The Delusional Accountant. That's an interesting title. The dumbest financial belief women have is that their money is theirs and a man's money is ours. Okay. She'll split the rent 50-50 to feel independent, but his paychecks is tacitly expected to fund the vacations. Well, that's not fair, is it? The nicer car and the down payment. She's not bad at math. She's brilliant at a specific self-serving calculus where his labor is the shared asset and hers is the protected property. All right, well, look, whoever's earning the most money and you guys are in a relationship, what's the logical thing to do? Drain the person who doesn't have as much finances, drain their account dry and be like, well, it's fair, 50-50. Isn't that kind of stupid and inconsiderate, you idiot? Well, it's 50-50. No, it's not. Whoever's earning the most income, whether it's the man or the woman, and you guys love each other, you say you love each other, let's do simple mathematics. You know, it's a game of addition and subtraction. What do you think is a loving thing to do? Well, honey, this is a 50-50% relationship. You know, complete idiot, and say, well, you need to pay up 50% because I can afford it, but you can't. No, you guys got to work with each other, right? In traditional relationships, what they call trad relationships, the guy paid for everything pretty much because the woman stayed at home and took care of the kids. Okay, that type of nuclear family no longer exists. I understand, but it kind of sort of does in many cultures. But what I will say, in a dual working relationship, you guys both have to contribute. Not necessarily a cool black and white 50-50. Because if she earns significantly less than you, or you earn significantly less than her, do you really think that's fair to say, well, it's still 50-50, like an idiot? No. That's really inconsiderate. That's not a sign of love, is it? Don't you want her to have a bit of residual income for herself? Now, if she's the one earning more than you, well, doesn't she want you to have a bit of residual income for yourself, whether you can save the little that you do make, or go buy yourself something special that you want? Because if you guys do 50-50 in that case, either she or you won't have any money to do anything extracurricular. Forget about it. No life. You think that's going to be a happy relationship? Honestly, don't be stupid and say yes, because the answer is clearly no. All right, so number 3, what do you got? The professional victim. Women have become ridiculous about claiming victim status as a social currency. All right, but men do this too. I hate to keep saying it. A man disagreeing with her is violence. That's just a stupid exaggeration. Come on now, grow up. A bad date is trauma. Not always. What are you talking about? That's very niche. They've inflated everyday inconveniences and minor conflicts into capital E events to win sympathy and capital E, avoid accountability. It's not that their struggles aren't real. It's that they've turned personal hardship into a competitive industry where the biggest victim wins. Okay, so the victim card, the victim mentality. This is like weakness syndrome galore. I've seen men do the exact same thing. The victim card. Many of them stay silent and weak. They can't even, they don't comment on anything that has to do with relationships, but they will if it's like, women suck. Oh yeah, they'll comment everywhere with that. So there's a lot of immaturity and weakness with guys today. The same does apply to women, but it's almost 50-50, but it's actually leaning more towards the guys. I've seen way so much more weakness with the guys, because a lot of women, they just want to carry on and just have everything fair. But a lot of these idiot guys out there, they don't want fairness. They're like, no, I have to hate all women because I'm a loser. And then they just do it day after day. They're like, I just want to listen to a guy who hates all women. It's absurdity. It says everything about them instead of what the truth of the matter is, in reality. The truth of the matter is not all men and not all women. If you take offense to that, you're the idiot. You're the loser, because that's the truth. To claim that all women are like that these days, you're an idiot. That's not true. You can actually go find, which is what you're supposed to do, go find a great woman out there who doesn't believe in any of that jazz. But you don't want to do that, right? Because you're a weak loser. You're a lazy loser. You see, it's your mindset that's the loser mentality. That's what's in the garbage bin. So this argument here, the professional victim, I've seen it worked on both sides. So let's go ahead and take a look once again what's on both sides here, right? Women are stupidly inconsistent with their own standards. A lot of guys are too. The dumbest financial belief women have is their money is there. That's just the thing that you have to settle with your partner. And then when we talk about the women over here, men are fundamentally stupid about their own health. Women could do the same thing, but again, it's the guy thing, right? It's like, okay, tough it up, right? And then the weaponized incompetent. The dumbest thing a man is to pretend to be bad. Basically, okay, well, women could be lazy too. The emotional illiterate. Men are emotionally ridiculous. Well, women could be emotionally ridiculous too, right? All right, so they can be geeky in the things that they love to do too. So keep in mind in this series, we're going to do a lot of unisex applications. Now, if the shoe fits and it's only applicable to men or women, then okay, let's put that shoe on. But people who complain like this are completely oblivious to the fact that they're just spewing out a bunch of nonsense. They're complaining about maybe an event or two events or maybe a significant problem in one gender, and then they think that it applies to everybody, like a total loser. That's what losers do. They play absolutes. And it's just so immature, it's so ignorant, and it's very cringe. All right, we got quite a spicy one for today. I can already tell. All right, let's jump right into it, starting with the ladies. What do we have in the ridiculous, stupid gender war of today? Very popular one today, a very famous battle we shall be going over here. All right, so number one from the ladies, the hypocrisy exposer. Men are so effing stupid. They've been consuming porn for free since dial-up, treating women like disposable tissues. But the second a woman figures out how to charge for it, she's a degenerate. You'll spend $100 on a strip club and a heartbeat to not even get... wow, that is very true. And a heartbeat to not even get laid, but a $10 subscription to actually interact with the creator who sets her own rules is a bridge too far? It's not about morality. It's about you losing your free buffet of female exploitation. Cry about it. I 100% support what this woman is saying here. There's so many guys out there who I really cringe to call them men, but for the purpose of simplicity. There's so many idiotic men out there who complain about OnlyFans. Shut up. Pornography has been around since, I don't know, the age of humanity. There's been what? Prostitution. We're not even talking about prostitution. If you want to cry about something, cry about prostitution, because that is extremely sad. You're talking about women using their bodies to make money. I'm against prostitution. Now, if it has to be done because the women who participate in prostitution, because there's no more, the age of pimps is all gone, right? This is all willingly. It's legalized in many countries, right? I would dare say the majority. Look, if a woman wants to prostitute her body, so be it. At least regulate it. Make sure that they're healthy. Make sure they don't have a certain amount of clients every day, because that'll tear them up from the inside out and emotionally and mentally. You don't want that. It's a horrible profession if you want to even call it a profession. But as they say, it's the oldest profession. We're not even talking about that though. Let's go ahead and go back to the main focus. All right. She has 100% reason to be talking like this, because those are effing stupid men who complain about OnlyFans and pornography. They're making money. So what? Are you jealous because they're making more money than you? Or maybe they're not making more than you. Maybe just, who cares how anybody earns a living in this world, as long as they're not directly trying to hurt somebody else. That's all that should count. So your opinion doesn't matter. I don't care if you're a religious person. I don't care if your moral compass is different than other. It has nothing to do with morality. It has everything to do with the word freedom. So don't be a hypocrite saying, I support freedom, I support the troops, or whatever your chant is. Your chant is fine, but don't be hypocritical and tell these women who participate in OnlyFans and pornography, oh, you can't do that, you're a degenerate. You know how much of a fool you sound like? You know how hypocritical that is? On one hand, you're chanting for freedom. On the other, you're saying, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, that looks bad. How are these women affecting your life directly? How are they affecting your life? Exactly. So shut up, right? 100%. Great introduction by the women here. 100%. I say go get your bag. Earn that money. You go, girl. If that's the way you want to do you, it's your body, your choice. I'm for freedom. I don't know what everybody else is for. I stand for freedom. Number two, the financial emancipation argument. You know what's dumb? Working a 9 to 5 for a male boss who pays you less and sexually harasses you. Another valid point off the bat. OnlyFans, there we go, is women finally cutting out the middleman pimp, which is the entire traditional economy, and getting paid directly. If men are so logical, why do they hate the most logical free market solution ever? Because your bruised ego can't handle that the girl you ignored in high school now makes more in a month than you do in a year by not giving a single F about your opinion? Absolutely. She didn't have to get that aggressive with it, but she has a damn point. It's jealousy. It's all these bitter, butthurt guys out there who are like, oh, I wish I could earn that much in a month. And newsflash, not every woman who conducts an OnlyFans account earns a lot of money. Not all of them win, you idiots. It's already a cutthroat competition on OnlyFans, especially at this point. Who cares? Who cares? You know, once again, freedom. Let freedom ring. Who cares how you ring the freedom bell? Right? What happened to the Liberty Bell? So you want to tell these women that they're degenerates and that you're against... Who cares if you're against OnlyFans and pornography? Like, put a sock in it. Like, right in your mouth. If the shoe fits, put the sock in your mouth. And stop spewing out nonsense. I agree with her. 2 bangers right off the bat. Very proud of the women here. So number 3, the control reclamation narrative. The most ridiculous male tears come from watching women control the gaze. In porn, which I also stand for, by the way, pornography is art. Don't like it? Don't watch it. Don't complain about it. Men dictate the fantasy. Brutal, degrading, and fake. Well, not all the time. There's a lot of... I don't even know one male porn star. I could probably recognize a few female porn stars just because I have watched porn in the past. I'm very proud of it. There's nothing wrong with pornography. You can learn a lot through pornography, visually. There's a lot of visual learners out there. Oh, okay. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of young adults who don't even know what a clitoris is or the labia. They don't know anything about the female anatomy. Well, porn can freaking show you. You can pretty much learn visually. You don't have to look at a book and be like, wow, this looks like I'm dissecting a squid or something. No offense, but I mean, it gets way too scientific. Why don't you see it and present it in a passionate form? It exists. So stop crying about it. A lot of things exist that people disagree with. Like if you come to Europe, oh, look at that woman. She's bare-breasted. I don't like, seeing breasts on a water fountain. Seriously? I mean, everybody here, man or woman, has sucked on their mother's breast. Shut up. And again, put the other sock in your mouth if the shoe fits, right? Now you got 2 socks in your mouth. If you're against OnlyFans or porn, you need to put both of your socks, those dirty socks, sweaty socks, straight into your mouth. Because all you're doing is talking trash. That's all you're doing. Now, I disagree with her about men dictating the fantasy. There's a lot of porn stars. They don't have to be part of a company, working for a company. That's kind of old school at this point. It's like OnlyFans. There's no difference. You can start your own pornography page, your channel, and it's on your own terms. It doesn't have to be a fantasy. Maybe you can do lingerie only. Maybe you can do sexy pole dancing. Porn doesn't always have to be about penetration and involving 2 or 3 or freaking orgies, people. Pornography is simply showing male or female intimacy in an artistic way. That's all it is. It could be a business straight up, but it's not always the case. It's human sexuality. Everybody here was born out of sex. If it wasn't for sex, a penis and a vagina, you wouldn't exist. So why are you going to cringe your teeth and complain about something that you were literally a product of? Everyone's a product of sex. So shut up. It's art. There's a lot of artwork that people can disagree with. I don't care what you disagree with. I'm for freedom once again. So I do disagree with her about dictating because females now more than ever have tons of power. I would say the clear upper hand when it comes to intimacy and, everybody agrees that in a relationship, they say vagina power or whatever, like she's withholding sex or whatever. The women have the most power in a relationship naturally. But that doesn't mean that they get to dictate and abuse you and use you or do whatever they want like a dark queen. No, I don't think so. A real woman is nothing but love. And if she wants to have an OnlyFans and make a ton of money, why not? Now, if you're going to become a partner with such a person, then you guys got to talk about that. I have no business in that because you guys can agree with it. You guys can disagree with it. That's your guys' little discussion, not mine. So with that said, that's the only thing I'll disagree with her right there. But there's no demotion, by the way. I got to disagree with that too. But again, to all the sorry, jealous, loser guys out there who have a problem with porn or OnlyFans, either grow up or shut up. If you can't grow up, then just shut it, right? All right, let's go ahead and shift to the guys. I can't wait to see what they think about this. Number one, the relationship destroyer. Is it though? Let's see if that's a valid point. I'll give them mercy. Women on OnlyFans are the ultimate contradiction. They want a high-value man. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm already cringing my teeth right here. Who provides loyalty and security. While they sell their intimacy to thousands of strangers, they're just watching, man. It's not even that deep. They're just watching and paying her money. That's all that's going on. She's not sleeping with these guys for weed money. Really? Does everybody do weed? You see how immature this is? How stupid men think? It's the most profound act of self-sabotage imaginable. How? How? You are literally monetizing the very thing, exclusive intimacy, that forms the foundation of a real relationship. Once again, if you're in a relationship with such a person, you know, doing an OnlyFans page, that's your guys' discussion. But you can't be spitting out into the rest of the world that OnlyFans should not exist, is demoralized, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. Either you do it or you don't, just like porn. Either you watch porn or you don't. Everybody has their preferences in this world. Respect freedom. Isn't that what the United States is supposed to be about? I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I stand for freedom. Even if I never served, I still would stand for freedom. And freedom means you choose whatever's legally available to do in this life. Other people don't have to like it. So don't be a hypocrite by saying all this gibberish right here, and then you turn the other cheek and say, oh yeah, Veterans Day is coming up. Oh yeah, you know, and Memorial Day, and we gotta like remember our freedoms. And no, where's those two socks? You gotta shove them deeper down your throat because you're a total hypocrite. Then you wonder why the good men don't want you. Excuse me. Real good men like myself don't care what a woman does. Now, if I'm in a relationship with her, we're gonna have that discussion. I'll be like, well, okay, OnlyFans. If my soulmate is doing OnlyFans and that's what she preferred and I agreed to it, we would both say, as mature, intelligent, and clever human beings, well, as long as that's all it is just showing a bunch of people your body and you're making tons of money from it, and that's what you want to do, honey, am I a simp for saying yes? No, because she's with me. See, I have security. These other guys, these garbage guys, don't. Now, I don't want that in my relationship. That's why it doesn't exist. But it doesn't mean I wouldn't be capable of accepting that had she said yes to that possibility. Because, in my honest opinion, it's just showing off your body to a bunch of strangers digitally, and you're completely safe. Oh, but they're going to spread my image, and who cares? It's not that they can put it on a billboard in the middle of a highway so the whole world can see. It's always going to be behind closed doors in the privacy of their own room and masturbating to it. In a way, it's kind of a compliment, isn't it? Millions of guys masturbating to your girls', videos or photos. Who cares? Who's getting the bag? Repeatedly. So does it really matter? Everybody's moral compass is different, but this has nothing to do with morality. I'm not religious, by the way, so you can stuff that extra sock in your mouth too. Not religious. Don't want to hear it. Then you wonder why the good men don't want you. That's a completely false statement. Good men. So, bad men support women's freedoms to do whatever they want with their body as long as it's legal and as long as that's what they want to do and they're not being forced to do it. That's what bad men are. That's not the definition of bad men in my book. You're not... Oh, literally, I have a book, by the way. You're not a partner. You're a public utility. The jealousy is just oozing out of this sad, pathetic guy right here. Just oozing. Let me get a taste of that jealousy in number 2. I bet there's more. The societal parasite argument. It's the dumbest, most short-sighted gift in history. Really? Let's see what kind of argument this is. You're not empowered. You're cashing in on a societal sickness. It's not a sickness. Get over yourself. When the Playboy bunnies first came out, hell, in China, when the women would show just a little bit of their naked shoulder or naked ankle, we're not even talking about the private parts, and guys going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over that little bit of skin. Like, seriously, you gotta shut your mouth, man. Just because we've reached this apex of female sexuality and sensuality, it doesn't mean that you get to call the shots and say what the rules should be and say women are not being empowered now more than ever. I'd much rather prefer the state that we are in these days with total freedom than limited freedom and women being stuck in marriages to where they're not allowed to divorce, committing, like, they're ending their own lives, by the way, over it. And it's just, there's so much more to be pissed off about the further back in history you go, with women being suppressed with their freedoms that they should have. All the freedom. That's why I disagree with feminist extremists today. They have nothing to complain about. Feminist extremists have nothing to complain about today. Women have so much opportunity and power that, of course, the toxic ones want more. And I disagree with that. And that's where the guys get bitter. I understand that. But when the guys start acting like the very thing that they detest, because guys like their freedoms, right? Do you see women trying to trample on your freedoms? No. So why are guys trying to trample on the women's freedoms, such as OnlyFans or pornography? Or dressing a little bit more promiscuously? Who cares? You see, so the jerks come off as the ones who are trying to control you like a dictator from a communist country. That's where I draw the freaking line. All right? Okay, so let's see. Empowerment. You're causing it's not a societal sickness. It's not. There are so many other examples of real societal sicknesses, but again, it's freedom as long as they're not hurting somebody, right? You helped create. No, they did not help create it. They're participating in a totally legit and legal practice. It's art. You don't have to like it. You spent a decade calling male desire toxic. No, those are feminist extremists, right? I mean, when these idiots open their mouth, they always talk about toxic women, never real women. And then they apply it to everybody like a blanket statement. That's what's out today. That's what's in the popularity contest, right? When these idiots open their mouth, they talk about every woman like they're all the same. So it exposes them. It doesn't expose actual real women who are doing things legit and not harming anybody. But these idiot toxic guys here, that's who they're pointing fingers at, all of them. And then they're all bitter and miserable. They live alone and say they're happy when they know they're not. Then turned around and monetized the most degenerate, validation-starved version of it. That's your opinion. That's an idiot's opinion, by the way. You're not building a career. Oh, but they are. Many of them are. So what? You're jealous now? You're jealous of their career, buddy? You want to cry me a river? Maybe an ocean. You're strip mining your future for right now cash. There it is. There's the jealousy. Exposed. And the landscape you'll be left with, who cares what they'll be left with or not? Why do these idiots care so much about what other women do with their bodies and their time? Like, it's like dictator wannabes, I swear. A used up body and a soul. Okay, are you going to be with every single woman's body? Again, are you going to? No, right? So why don't you do you and let women do themselves? Maybe even literally in that sense. And a soul sold, and they didn't sell their soul, buddy. Get over yourself. They're doing a business. In the safety of their own homes, almost all of them, or for a company that they chose to work with. You got to sign contracts. All right? There's no more pimps. And that's what she pointed out in her case, right? With the female points on the left. So, I mean, you know, these guys saying you sold your soul, you're degenerating the whole world. Like, You gotta shut your mouth, man. You sound like such a. Eesh, there's so many words I can put there. Insert insulting word because that's the truth of it all. Okay, so won't be worth shit. Wow. Okay. See, that's the type of vocabulary that comes out of these, pieces of garbage out there who spew this nonsense. You see how bitter they are? You see, this is how they talk about women. When women are winning at something, but whether it be professionally or with sports or maybe mind games or something, like in a good way, like challenging, like solving puzzles or whatever, intelligent conversations, these douches start to get upset, these douchebags. And then they're going to start saying stuff that is hatred against women. It's disgusting behavior, to say the least. Real empowerment builds something, but they are building something. Their bank accounts. You got a problem with that? This just burns your dignity for fuel. And what is a streamer gamer doing? He's playing games like wearing pajamas in the comfort of his own bedroom, making money. What's the difference? One is naked or borderline naked with lingerie. The other one's in his pajamas or in his underwear. Who cares? And they're both being digitally watched and observed. So what's the problem? Oh, but I'm not getting naked. Okay, but where's the moral compass? You guys are both making money doing things online. Where's the problem? You see how stupid it is? And that's why I call it the stupid gender war. These idiots never self-reflect and look at the words coming out of their mouth. That's why I say put the socks in their mouth, right? The smellier, the better. Okay, last point from the idiots. The delusional entrepreneur defense. But they are entrepreneurs if they're making money. You got a problem with that? Stop calling it a business. It is a business. How they do their taxes or how they call it, they don't have to call themselves. Everybody's a business in this world. Your name means that you're a business because that's my business. It's your business. That's our business. That's their business. You see how that works? It's simple English here. The proof is in the wording. That's where the pudding is. All right, so a business, this is all jealousy. This is all butthurt behavior here. A business creates value. They have value. If they get money and fame, that's value. Like it or not, they're winning, right? They're winning something. You're renting out your mental illness. They don't have a mental illness. These are all false accusations here. You're contributing to the sickness of society. You're mentally ill. This is all false. They stand against women's freedom to do something legit, legal, and safe. And calling it a startup. The most ridiculous thing is watching these women cry about mental health. That's totally separate, buddy. While their entire brand is fueling the loneliness epidemic. No, it's not. If you're lonely, that's your problem. That's your situation. It's not my problem. I can try to help you with that, but I can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves. Like this guy here. He doesn't sound like he wants to help himself because here he is whining and bitching and moaning and complaining. It's like an Uno reverse card, but they give themselves the Uno reverse card. They're exposing themselves as losers. Look at what this guy's crying about. The loneliness epidemic. Well, if the shoe fits, looks like you're the loser, right? If you don't have somebody by your side to love with all of your heart and soul now and forever, you're losing. You're not winning. I don't care how much you make. I don't care how famous you are. You're losing because you're going to cry yourself at night, to sleep. And you're the one who feels the pain. And then you can live in denial saying, oh, no, I'm happy. I'm not. Okay, that's clearly in denial because you don't have a partner. You're the one left without a chair when the music stopped. So go back to the jukebox, put another quarter, play that song again, and maybe you'll win this time. Maybe you'll get to shout bingo. But if you don't play, you'll never know. So who's the coward? Whining and complaining and moaning in his man cave. You are. If the shoe fits. All right, let's continue this ridiculous comment here. What the entire brand is fueling the loneliness epidemic and body dysmorphia. Last time I checked, women are smiling from ear to ear, having fun making money online. That's not body dysmorphia. I mean, if you're using filters, but you have a right to use filters. But I don't know. I mean, are you their doctor? Are you their mental psychologist or therapist? And other women, okay. You're not a CEO. They could be if they own the company. Got a problem with it? You're a digital crack dealer. Wow, that is so stupid. Now we're talking about drugs? And your product is a false promise that you're worth paying for. Well, men are free to do with their money as they will. It's called residual income freedom, right? What you do with your money is none of my business. There's a lot of guys who are stupid and they waste it on gambling, you know, or they go to the strip clubs and they, at least they're using it for a good deed by paying the strippers, right? They go, what is it, making it rain with $1 bills, $5 bills, or whatever. However much you got, however much you want to spend. You want to spend it getting drunk at a bar, go ahead. Drink your troubles away. I'm not going to tell you no. That would be, quite hypocritical of myself because I support your freedom, right? It's always surprising to see the guys react. They get all defensive too when you turn the tables around and say, wait a minute, man. What if I said this? Don't do this. Don't do that. You don't like it all of a sudden, do you? That's how women feel when they have success in something that they enjoy doing and you're trying to come and rain down on their parade. Who are you to tell them how they should live their lives? Are you their father? Are you their dictator in chief in command? No. All right, so let's go ahead and finish this ridiculous comment here. All right, so, and your product is a false promise that you're worth paying for because you're unattainable. No, that's not it at all. What do you mean unattainable? They could have a boyfriend or a husband. You don't know that. And even if they don't have to until they're ready. Maybe they're not ready. While being attainable to anyone with $6, it's a scam. Is it really though? Is she taking your money or you? No, that's not how it works. You're giving her money. And if the guys want to give her money, then that's what they want to do with their money. So now you want to control how people spend their money? Wow, that's kind of hypocritical, man. I don't want to see you on the 4th of July at a barbecue saying, singing the national anthem with your hand on your heart, because you're a hypocrite if this is what you're going to say at the same time. I don't salute you back. All right, so it's a scam and the mark is your own self-respect. Oh, wow. Okay. This is just so going, like, once again, you're not their fathers. So stop trying to act. This is just, it points out a clear and evident deficit of love and happiness from these guys. They're lonely. They're miserable. They're unhappy. This is the garbage that those, douchebags say. This is the garbage. So the women in this show, in today's show, have won every single point with a bit minor flaws, but that's my opinion about it. The guys have lost miserably in this battle. It's pretty much 100% victory for the women. These guys here, if the shoe fits, I really highly recommend that you change your sneakers, because you need some real battle boots. You got to come into these battles with logic, real logic, not your own opinions and beliefs trying to dictate how women use their lives, right? How they spend their lives. That's not a battle. That's pretty much harakiri. You're committing, you're ending your own life. You're falling on your own your sword. When you fall on your own sword, it's really clearly established. The guys here have fell on their swords 3 times. So, yeah, enjoy that afterlife. I have a feeling this is going to be another heated show for sure. But, yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's go. Here we go. All right, beginning with the ladies as always. The lazy roommate syndrome. You turn from a husband into a lazy roommate who occasionally leaves his socks on my floor. You think foreplay is tapping my shoulder at 11 p.m. after you've spent the last 4 hours scrolling through reels of other women. I assume she means pornography. You don't date me. You don't romance me. You don't even see me as a woman anymore. You see me as the household appliance that also does your laundry. Then you have the audacity to be confused about why the appliance isn't in the mood. Obviously, she's talking about sex. You killed my desire by treating me like furniture, and now you're mad the furniture won't F you. Okay, so obviously she's upset, and obviously there's something wrong with her husband in this case. Now, this is the topic of sexless marriages in the gender war. It could be a relationship. You don't have to be married to experience this. It's an extremely bad sign. Is there any going back from this? You can make a comeback and turn the ship around? Sure. But chances are it's probably not going to work, because if it's reached this level of failure, yes, your relationship is failing. I don't care if you're married with kids and assets or whatever. It doesn't matter. This is like borderline a funeral for your relationship. So let's go ahead and nitpick a little bit here. So she's accusing him of turning into a lazy roommate. So there's a disconnection there, right? Now, do a lot of guys do this? Yes, they tend to do this. But women tend to do it too. It always works both ways, right? I mean, there's a cause for it. But sometimes there's not a cause for it. Sometimes the guys lose that passion. So, the socks on her floor, well, I mean, if it's chronically and just disrespectfully, I mean, it's your guys' floor. Unless you guys aren't living with each other. Sure, yeah, I guess it's just a no-go, right? Yes, you need foreplay, so she is right about that. And scrolling through, you shouldn't need pornography. If you need pornography with your partner, something's missing. Something's not there. Now, if you're in a long-distance case scenario, then yes, you can use pornography. It doesn't mean you're better than your partner if you don't use pornography. It's a preference. Whatever gets you off while your partner's not there in a long-distance case scenario. But when you're with your partner, the sex has to be through the roof. That's not an exaggeration. And if you think that's an exaggeration, you're going to suffer the same fate as what we're seeing here. So that is a sense of weakness and laziness if you fall into that category. If you don't keep that burning flame going, then the candle's going to just burn out. And there was a lot more to burn there, but yeah, the flame just went out. So if you put out the flame, what are you going to do? You have to reignite it, right? You got to get back to the wick of the situation. So yeah, it's okay. So he's scrolling through porn, no romance, don't even see her as a woman. So it sounds like the guy just fell out of touch. He just maybe out of love with his wife. So a household appliance, well, if that's the way she feels, being used for sex, then she's not going to want you anymore. There's no good stuff. There's no love. So yeah, understandably. Yeah, so she says that he killed her desire, treating her like furniture. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I'll give her a point for this one, because there's lots of guys out there who allow their marriages to fail. And then they'll point the finger at her. She's like, what are you talking about? You treat me like a piece of furniture every day, or just an asset. And then you just, pretty much use her for sex, and then just, there's no romance, there's no foreplay. So yeah, unfortunately, there's lots of struggling relationships and marriages out there that go through this garbage. Yeah, so point for the ladies here, because that's what she's describing. Sounds pretty accurate, because it does happen a lot. Number 2, the performance over intimacy problem. Okay, so this goes hand in hand with number 1. Sex with you became another chore on my mental load because it's only about your finish line. Yeah, that goes hand in hand with number 1. There's no intimacy, no connection, no effort to make it feel good for me. It's just a sweaty 10-minute utility you expect like a subscription service. Yeah, that's pretty cold. I mean, your woman's not a robot. And like what do they call it these days? Where's your Riz? It's kind of a cringe word, but you gotta have Riz, right? Well, that's daily Riz to get with the time. You want a blowjob, but won't give me a back rub. Yeah, that's pretty selfish. I mean, if you're gonna get a blowjob every day or every other day, the way it should be, by the way, because your guys' sex is through the roof. You always get what you want, she always gets what she wants. Blowjobs should be common, very common, exactly the way you want it, by the way. Because if it's not, you're not the happiest man on earth, are you? And a lot of guys are afraid to admit that. They're like, no, I don't care about blowjobs. Like, stop lying. Then you probably don't know what a really good blowjob is. It's extremely important in a marriage. If your woman is giving you blowjobs as frequently as possible, she's really in love with you. Let me tell you that. Or she could be using you, but yeah, that's just in a pretty niche case. And it's pretty obvious when a woman is trying to use you by doing things that you love for her to do. But I'll tell you what, If the relationship's going great and there's plenty of blowjobs, she's the one for you. Especially if she knows how to finish the job, that happy ending, the way you want it. But won't give me a back rub. Yeah, learn to give your woman massages. What the hell's wrong with you guys? You want a porn star performance. Yeah, that's the way your sex life should be, a porn star performance. That's why there's nothing wrong with pornography. Why don't you go learn from porn instead of disappointing your partner? But put in zero effort to make me feel like a star. Exactly. Porn stars don't have anything on you guys. You guys should be way better than any porn star. That's how much of a mastery you should have with sex. You guys should be sexual masters. But it takes two to tango. You turned what should be our deepest connection, absolutely, into the most transactional drain of my energy. And I'm tapped out. My body is on strike because the working conditions are shit. Yeah, I agree with her. There's a lot of douchebags out there who just, they don't... They see foreplay and romance and back rubs as feminine. What the hell is wrong with you? No wonder you're never going to be the happiest man on earth. You know, you're never going to be truly in love because you suck in the bedroom. And you don't want to learn what it takes to really satisfy your woman. If she is your woman, by the way. In the beginning, you have to earn her trust, her respect, her love, all of it. And she has to do the same thing. It's all about that reciprocity. What are we talking about? Number 3, the unattractive complacency. Okay, so you let yourself go completely, physically, mentally, and energetically. That's what she's talking about in points 1 and 2, by the way. And still expect the same sexual access you had when you were someone I was proud to be seen with. You're not the man I married. You're a nostalgic placeholder for him. And you're offended my vagina isn't sentimental. Desire isn't a duty, it's sparked by attraction. And you have done everything in your power to extinguish every last spark. That's what we were talking about with the candle going out. And then blame me for the dark. You became a stranger I have to manage, not a partner I want to crave. Alright, look, I'm going to side with the guys a little bit on this. Because if you have fallen out physically, stuff happens. As they say, you know? So you got to have a little bit of mercy on yourself, and she should have mercy on you too. Could happen to her as well. Maybe she's gained some weight. Maybe you both have gained some weight. But that's not everything, people. Get back on your train, get back on your horse, and let's keep moving forward. Any baby step forward is progress. You guys have to have patience with aging gracefully. If you guys put on a few pounds or several pounds or dozens of pounds, whatever the challenge may be, heck, maybe a couple 100 pounds. Because there are such scenarios. Well, get your ass back on track and make it happen. But don't expect miracles overnight. You have to have patience. Because that's a real test of love right there. Do you still love your partner even if such a tragedy happens for whatever reason? Maybe it's an injury. Maybe it's a medication consequence. A side effect. We don't know. Or maybe you just allowed the pounds to accumulate far too long and you didn't get to it. Your responsibility of keeping those pounds off. But, you know, that's a real test of love. It really is. That's just one test of love, by the way. All right, so I'll give her the bone for the last one, too, because it goes hand in hand with number 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and shift gears to the guys. Let's see what they have to say about sexless marriages. The bait and switch contract. You sold me a vision of a loving, intimate marriage, and then pulled a corporate restructuring once you got the ring. Yeah, okay, this can happen, unfortunately. That's why I highly encourage sex before marriage. You are very stupid and foolish. You're so naive if you don't have sex before marriage. Oh, but I want to marry a virgin. Then you're stupid. You're going to put a ring on it, meaning you're going to spend the rest of your life, ideally, with this person. You better test her out. Have a test drive in the bedroom. Now, if you don't want to finish inside the vagina, look, go to sodomy. What's wrong with that? You can finish with the blowjob or anal. It doesn't matter. What the hell's wrong with you? You need to know how it feels with her sexually and sensually. Intimacy is everything. That's the heart of the marriage. So if you want to be stupid and take a gamble and find out that she sucks, not in a good way, in the bedroom, she's a total dead fish, that's your fault. You're just as responsible as she is for that failed sexuality. I'm going to say that. So let's go ahead and continue. Sex wasn't a chore until you decided my needs were an inconvenience to your new life where I'm just a financial and logistical support system. Yeah, see, it can work both ways. She could use you just for your wallet, your bank account. Absolutely. So why did you get married with her? The red flags were there. You probably weren't paying attention. It happens. Most of the time you can see the red flags. Sometimes you can't, but it takes a real clever bastard to get past that one. Female bastard. You weaponize intimacy, using it as a reward for good behavior or withholding it as a punishment. Yeah, that's a no-go. That's an abusive woman right there. She's not obligated to have sex with you, but if she doesn't want to have sex with you and she's playing games with her vagina, and sex in particular, then yes, she's a toxic woman. Absolutely. Because what's up with that? What's wrong? You're not going to force her to have sex because in the past, hundreds of years ago, or maybe 100 years ago, and many guys today, they try to force their women to have sex with them. Obviously, that is not only bad, but most cases illegal if they get caught, right? Men don't do that. Real men don't do that. There is no force when it comes to sex. But when there's no sex being initiated by your partner, in this case the woman, something is terribly wrong. It's not like she has to be on schedule at this certain time of every day. No, we're not talking about that. That's completely unrealistic. When you feel it, and that's when you guys should do it. And you guys don't have to go all the way. Maybe you can tease each other, go halfway, 1/3, be creative. You know? You guys can tease each other. You don't always have to finish. All right, so as punishment, yeah, so that's what I was saying in previous episodes was, yeah, she has a lot of power with the vagina power, right? I get it. We're not talking about the vagina monologues. We're talking about the vagina is very important in a relationship. So is the penis. But when she has problems with it, she's being stingy with her hoo-hoo. Well, you get the point, right? There's something terribly wrong. Where's the sex? Where's the love? Absolutely, I agree with the guy here so far. This happens a lot in marriages and relationships in general. Turning the one thing that should be our mutual escape into a tool for control. Yes, a tool for control happens all the time. You broke the fundamental contract, and now you're the warden of a cell you built. Okay, so if the culpability does in fact fall on the woman, then yes, he's absolutely 100% correct. And I'm with him on this one. So yeah, point for the men. Very, very valid point. Let's see if he can match it with the rest of the 2 points. The death of spontaneity and enthusiasm. Having sex with you feels like negotiating a hostage situation. The lights have to be off. Oh, that's terrible. Where's your pride? You got to be proud of your body, women. Don't do that. Don't make love in the dark. Unless you guys are going to be too lazy to get up and turn off the light afterwards. Okay, maybe once in a while. Maybe once in a blue moon, pun intended. It has to be exactly 12 minutes on a Tuesday. You're gonna time limit your sex? Really? And I have to have completed a list of chores you invented that morning. No. That's not how it works. It's mutual chores. End of story. You've medicalized and ritualized a natural animal connection into, yeah, well, we are technically animals, yes, into a clinical procedure with more rules than a tax code. My touch makes you flinch. My advance is pressure. You haven't just killed our sex life. You've criminalized my desire, making me feel like a predator in my own home for wanting my own wife. Yeah, absolutely. This is a very sad case, by the way. Doesn't typically happen. Most cases for guys is number 1. But this can also happen, number 2, where she all of a sudden becomes afraid of intimacy, avoids intimacy, and many times for no good reason. It's just that she's not really all there upstairs mentally. And she's got emotional problems, maybe past traumas that have nothing to do with you. And once again, if you put the ring on it, and then you find out all this crap later on in the marriage, which is called baggage, really deep emotional, psychological baggage, it's still your fault. Why didn't you check all of that before you got married? You see, marriage is like the final green light. It's not a test. If you treat marriage as a test, well, let's see, honey, if we make it. Wrong. That's the wrong answer. You have to take her for a test drive, inside and out. And I do mean that literally. And then if she checks off all the blocks repeatedly, then you guys can talk about being engaged, have more sex, have more talks that are very serious and intelligent conversations, philosophical wisdom, all of it. Philosophy, everything has to be discussed before marriage. Marriage is like the final, I cannot stand the thought of being with anybody else but you. That's when you're ready. When you both can say that and promise each other, looking into each other's eyes, damn it, that I will want to be with you for the rest of my life without fail, without doubt. But what do 99% of people do? I'm going to throw that percentage out there. It's not official, but that's how I feel it is. Almost all marriages, they don't do this. They just go through a few checklists like, oh, okay, she gave me a blowjob here. I had a great time at the club there. Hey, you want to get married? What the hell's your problem? Oh, he has a stable job. He's got six-pack abs. Just a bunch of idiots putting rings on each other's fingers. Have no idea what marriage means. It's not about the ring and the ceremony. It's about the promise that I will be with you forever and ever. For eternity without time. If you can't get that deep with it, you're not in love. End of story. Stop being such fools. Last one, number 3. Let's see if the guys finish strong in this battle. The unilateral change of terms. You decided without my consent that our marriage would be celibate. That's horrible. That's a sexless marriage. My loneliness, my frustration, my physical needs are all dismissed as your problem, while you get to enjoy every other benefit of the partnership, my provision, my loyalty, my labor. You use every ounce of my emotional energy as your free therapist. But the idea of reciprocating with physical intimacy is using you. Okay, so this goes hand in hand with number 2. You've made yourself a platonic life partner while I signed up for a wife. Okay, that's not a marriage. That's a fraudulent merger. Well, I wouldn't say fraudulent. Because once again, had you have honed in and mastered sex before putting the ring on it, you have to accept responsibility. Okay, guy? That's what you have to do here. You can't put the 100% blame on her. Because, yes, she could be the cause, ultimately, of the failing relationship. But you still said, yes, I do to her. And you know what? Stuff happens. Maybe once upon a time she was perfect in bed and everything. That's why it's not just about sex. Many people can't even master sex to begin with. But once you master sex, everything else has to happen in tandem at the same time. You have to master the psychological connection, the emotional connection. Sex is just, that's not, simple biology or whatnot. It's not like just a scientific get-together with intimacy. No, it's supposed to be all of that culminated into one. The ultimate demonstration of love. That's why the nastier you get in the bedroom, respectfully speaking, the more intense the relationship. Happens all the time. And I'm not talking about those idiots who have wild sex, with BDSM and yada yada. No. That's not love. That's just toying around, trying different things. That's fine if you guys both agree to that. But I'm talking about a real serious, deep mental and emotional connection on a spiritual level even, before you even think about getting married. That's the level of connection. In fact, you guys should already feel like you guys are soulmates made for each other before you choose marriage. That way it's guaranteed to work. You don't have eyes for anybody else. You can admire people who are attractive outside. Like, wow, she must work out. He must work out. Oh, that person looks good in those clothes. But that's as far as it goes. All right? Mini glances or whatever. As long as you both don't have any insecurities, you'll be fine. But the guys who are doubtful and the women who are doubtful, they start to get antsy. Many women ruin what's going to be a perfect relationship because they're impatient. They start to become emotionally out of control and they ruin it. Many guys ruin their relationship because they start to get greedy. They want more than just one woman. Well, you're not in love with that woman, are you? The one that you said yes to. You're not. Because why isn't one enough? Why is the thought of more something that's so tempting? And so any douchebag out there, guy who says that, no, it's what guys do. We were supposed to inseminate as many women as possible. You don't know what love is. And you shouldn't waste any woman's time with that type of attitude. So it looks like it's a tie in this battlefield. We have the same number of casualties, the same number of percentage of destruction here. But yeah, these are valid complaints. For the first time in this series, all 6 of these are valid complaints. This type of garbage happens every single day. And the laziness to try to fix it is unimaginable, unbelievable. Just the type of apathetic ignorance out there to want to fix these things, to even want to try to think about fixing these things. Usually people just give up, or they go through what's called a sexless marriage. Well, the responsibility is on both partners in this case. Can't wait to see what the topic of today is. And lo and behold, it's going to be about men and women claiming to not need a man or woman in their life. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive deep, beginning with the women first. See what kind of idiotic things they have to say here. For both men and women, by the way. Number 1, the useless appendage declaration. I don't need a man to be happy. I need a partner. And what you're offering isn't partnership. It's a part-time project with emotional needs and a dick. Really? You see, that's the type of garbage we have to work with these days. Oh, but it gets better, of course, right? I have a career. Okay, good for you. You want a cookie? That funds my life. I mean, it really is good, but I mean, if that's all you think life is about, you're going to end up with a lot of cookies to eat all by yourself, right? Friends who fill my soul. No, they don't. Stop it. I mean, the level of denial here is astronomical. And a vibrator. Oh, there we go. When females marry their vibrators, isn't that romantic? That doesn't fall asleep immediately after. Okay, so there's no time to fall asleep. Just keep vibing, right? Good vibrations. You are a luxury item, and lately the cost of maintenance, your ego, your mess, your constant need for validation. You're just with the wrong partner, right? Far exceeds the joy. I don't think you know what joy is. Happiness was the default once I stopped trying to fix you and started enjoying my own fully functional life. All right, so this is somebody who's obviously coping with hard times. Had her relationship worked, or any relationship there, because I'm pretty sure she probably failed in multiple relationships, because you don't get to this level of toxicity without failing a few times, at least. Okay? Or just failing really hard one time. Maybe that's all it takes. This is called living in denial. I don't need a man to be happy. I have a luxury life. I have a career. Go ahead. Go ahead and enjoy that. But when you finally hit that dead-end titanium wall, when you look back at the path that you've traversed, you only have yourself to blame for that miserable loneliness, that deep regret that you will feel. Even if you travel the entire world by yourself, you meet a lot of friends who are going to come and go, by the way. You can only count as many friends as you have on one hand. Real friends, that is. A lot of acquaintances that are going to amount to nothing. A lot of money spent in vacations and fun, buying all the clothes you want, enjoying all the lonely sunsets and sunrises alone. If you think you can live a happy life like that, you are not only delusional, but in denial. The only reason you're speaking like this is because you failed in the realm of love. That is a fact. That's why you're acting like this. Nobody has to fix anybody in this life. But it comes with the package most of the time. When you have a partner who's extremely toxic and irreparable, you just can't work with them. Of course you have to call it quits, because it can turn abusive really fast. 0 to 100 real quick. You'll go off the rails with such a person. Now, but if it's a relationship that you can work with your partner and fix these things, because she's saying, I stopped trying to fix you. Well, it depends. Is he willing to change for the better? Because if he's ultimately not, and he says, screw you, I'm not going to change for anybody, then you're obviously with the wrong person. But don't go off like a coward, run into your female cave, because men have their man caves, women have their rooms. Don't go lock yourself in your room and then pretend that, oh, you know what, my romantic life is over. I give up. Okay, that's what losers do, right? If you need to take 5 years off, maximum, like just a good 5 years, that's really sad, by the way. I recommend at least 1 or 2 years maximum, but some people really need 5 solid years off. No relationships. But again, I think that's way too much. You should get over it after a year or two. Get your ass back in there and try to find the right partner. Otherwise, you're a sad, lonely, pathetic woman who deserves exactly what you're preaching: misery and denial. And with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, because I have a feeling that it's going to be so similar to number one. Number two, the diminishing returns audit. Needing a man is an outdated economic model. So that's all you see is economics? Monetary subjects? Seriously? The ROI, return on investment, is in the toilet. Historically, you provided safety and resources. Now, I provide my own. Okay, but what does that change? What does that change? We're all involved in a game of survival. You have to pay the bills. You have to survive. That has nothing to do with your relationship. I don't care if in the black and white days the man was a provider. Who cares? Now you guys can both provide. The job isn't everything. Like she said in number one, I have a career. I have a luxury life. I have this. I have that. You're becoming the very thing that women despised in the black and white days, where the man says, I'm the leader. I'm the man of the house. I'm the one who wears the pants. I have the job. I pay the bills. This is my house. This is my family. You're my wife. You'll cook and clean for me. Kids, go do your damn rooms. Do this, do that. Otherwise, I'm going to smack you in your face. I'm going to pretty much corporal punishment, aka child abuse. So now you're becoming that. A disgusting, just like the disgusting husbands of the black and white days who thought, well, I have all the power because I have the money. You're becoming just like them. That toxic masculinity called machismo. Disgusting. So now what we have with these disgusting toxic females these days, who don't deserve to be called real women, we have this attitude problem. Congratulations. Now we have toxic masculinity 2.0. But by the way, we're going to get to the men because they're doing feminist extremism 2.0. Don't worry, you guys will have yours if the shoe fits. But let's go ahead and continue this monstrosity, right? I provide my own, and you often become the primary source of my emotional and domestic labor. What does that even mean? You're not an asset. You're a liability that complains when I ask you, well, you're doing all the complaining right here. When I ask you to contribute to the life you're benefiting from. My happiness spiked when I realized I could outsource everything you offered, including orgasms. Oh my goodness, give me a break. So we're all supposed to have sex with android sex robots? Are you stupid? Is that really going to make it? It's really sad if that fulfills your deepest desires sexually. If you even have them, by the way. Because what you're seeking is perpetual satisfaction going nowhere. Just like a monkey smashing the cymbals together. Like an Energizer bunny running into a titanium wall. Sure, you can keep bashing the cymbals together, bashing the drum, the same damn drum. But it doesn't mean you're happy. But you're going to be smacking into that wall repeatedly, bashing the cymbals, bashing the drum, pretending like you are happy, in denial, with your face right up against a titanium wall. I see it. You don't, because you're obviously blind to it, right? You can't see anything if your face is stuffed in that wall of delusion and denial without the constant negotiation. Again, number two, you're with the wrong person. It's your fault. You don't know how to choose the perfect guy for you. All right? That's your problem. Sounds like a real severe personal problem. Numbers 1 and 2 are just whining, complaining, and crying. No solutions, no maturity, no intelligence, nothing. Nothing positive. It's all destructive. You deserve what you get. And you can say that all you need is a vibrator. Go get married to your vibrator at the church. Sign the legal paper saying my vibrator is going to be everything I need in my life. I don't need a man. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody's going to want to listen to that, by the way. And have fun. Have the illusion of fun, by the way. Number 3. Let's see how pathetic this one is. The peace over performance realization. My happiness is peace. Oh my goodness. This is the number one delusional statement. I hear it all the time. No, I just want peace and quiet. That's happy. I'm happy. If you have to say that you're so happy, that means you're not really happy. Because if you were really happy, you wouldn't even have to say it. And then when people really ask you, the only valid answer to happiness is, I'm happy with my partner, my lifelong partner. He's everything to me. But if you can't say that, there is no other word for it. You can't use the word happiness. You might be content being alone, but you're going to have to battle your inner demons, aren't you? The loneliness. Have fun spending your birthdays alone with the vibrator. Oh, but I have my friends and family. They have lives of their own, sister. Oh, but they have time for me. Okay, let's see how old that gets. Because let me tell you something. Nature dictates. Even animals do it. They find a partner. And I don't want to hear about the exceptions either. Most of the animals, just like most humans in this world, they want to naturally find a partner to spend the rest of their lives with. It's called love. And just because you got burnt 1 or 2 times or 3 times or whatever, 100 times, that's your fault. You better choose better next time. Oh, but there won't be a next time because I'm sick and tired of it. And you know what? I'm happy with my peace. No, you're happy being a loser because you gave up on yourself. You're losing at life. You're not winning. That's what a loser is. When you admit defeat and say, you know what? I give up. Okay. You're not going to have any fun with that. You know, quitters, it's easy to quit in life. It's easy to say, you know what? I'm just going to fail this class. I don't want to study and get that A that I deserve to prove that I'm smart enough to do this. I'm not going to win the Olympic medal because I have what it takes, but you know what? I don't feel like doing anything today. No coach is going to want to coach you with that type of terrible attitude. And then you're going to go run home and say, no, I'm an Olympic gold medalist. I don't feel like being one because you know what? Screw the Olympics. That's what you're saying here. You're just boasting about being a loser and how awesome it is to be a loser because you failed in the realm of love. When all you have to do is just get back out there, wise up, become more intelligent, more selective with the next potential candidate. That's all you had to do. But it's easy to give up in life and to live in denial, saying, I'm so happy, I have all this peace. Yeah, and guess what's in the grave, sister? Nothing but silence in the very end. So all you're doing is you're simulating an early death with that negative attitude. Let us proceed, because man, we haven't even gotten into this one. A man in his current conditioning is drama. You're nothing but drama from what I'm listening to right now. He's either the fragile ego I have to manage. Why do you have to manage a man's ego? If he's a toxic person, you should actually have discussions with him, not managing things. That's not management. That's love. Because you care about him enough to have a serious conversation with him. That's called communication. And what's the core of any relationship, a successful relationship? Communication, sister. The bored child I have to entertain. Why is he bored? If he's bored, then you're not doing a good job as a wife, as a girlfriend. Or maybe he has problems and you chose the wrong guy. Whatever it is, in the end, it's just as much your responsibility. Or the resentful provider waiting for a medal for basic adulthood. Okay, whatever that means. The silence of my own company, where the remote control stays where I left it, and the mood in the room isn't dictated by a sulk, is a higher form of joy than any conditional performative love I've had to beg for. Well, that's your problem, right? Why are you begging for love? You don't know how to choose the right partner. That's your problem. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I don't need a man. That's what you're saying now because you failed. I need the continued absence of the stress one introduces because you don't know how to select the right partner. All you know is the easy street. Oh, this guy's cute. I want to get in his pants. How much does he earn? You know, you don't even know what to look for in a guy. That all this is proof in the pudding. When women start talking like this, talking like a bunch of losers, I don't need a man, I'm happy, all I need is my peace, and they failed. Let them cry and whine and complain, because there's nothing that you can say or do. They're in Tasmanian devil mode. They're spinning out of control, starting their own forest fire until there's no more trees left. And they're going to sulk in misery forever, wallowing in misery in that desert that they created by destroying their own forest of possibilities. Even the seeds are dead that they ever tried planting. There's no water, there's no sunlight, there's nothing to grow anything there. There's no vegetation. It's void of any positive life form with this attitude. It's destructive. It's living in denial. So now that I got done with this loser female examples here, let's shift gears into what I presume is going to be loser males who don't deserve to be called real men, with the same sad song. Number 1, the cost-benefit collapse analysis. Oh, I'd really love to hear this one. I don't need a woman to be happy. Sane garbage. Congratulations, you're right over there in the dumpster fire with the toxic women saying the same garbage as what you're saying now. Congratulations, buddy. Wow, what a real man, right? What if all the heroes in comic books, they just said, you know what, I don't feel like being super today. The world can just go screw itself. Is that a superhero? Is that a winner? Imagine if Superman just said, I'm going to go get drunk at this bar, get totally wasted, sloshed, completely plastered. You think everybody's going to be like, yeah, go Superman, while the city is in chaos and destruction by all the bad guys, right? That's not a winner, people. You got to fight for love in this life. But if you want to throw away your cape, throw away your boots, you essentially manufactured a loser by yourself. You taught yourself to be a loser and nothing more, because you give up on the most important thing in life, which is finding the right person to fall in love with. They got to be the perfect candidate. That doesn't exist, then you're not ready. You're not ready. You know the Force in Star Wars? That's love. It comes from within. You don't have the Force. Willpower. That's the Force, right? It comes from belief in yourself. All this loser talk. I need a peaceful, purposeful life. That's a completely meaningless life, what you're talking about. Purpose is only found with a lifelong partner, because she's your reason for existing. And if you guys have kids, your family is the reason for existing. This is the way real winner men speak. Loser men don't say this crap right here. I mean, they say all this crap right here. I need a peaceful, purposeful life. Wow. Just modern relationships feel like signing up for a second, more demanding job because you don't know how to choose the right person. Where my performance is constantly graded. That's your fault. My salary is viewed as shared income. Well, duh. If you earn more than she does, if she earns more than you do, you guys got to work it out. Who pays what? Whatever is most logical. Both of you should have residual income to enjoy together. Because guess what, buddy? It's not just you. Everything you own is shared in a relationship, a serious relationship. You got a problem with that? You're not going to make it. And if she has a problem with that, you both aren't going to make it. And my personal time is treated as stolen company property. Oh, come on with the exaggerations. My happiness is my gym progress. You could have that in a relationship. You don't have to be alone to enjoy that. My financial growth, same thing. My silent Saturday mornings. Why does that have to be silent? You see, when people whine like this, all they needed was just some alone time. In a healthy, functioning, lifelong relationship, you guys give each other space. You're not like glued together 24/7, okay? The secret is to create balance. I give her some alone time, I get some alone time, and we miss each other. We come right back together like magnets, like the strongest magnets in the world. That's how proper balance is attained. Many people, they just don't get it. They see their partner as a burden. Well, then you're with the wrong partner, because every waking day with the person of your life, with the love of your life, is a gift. If you don't feel like that, you're with the wrong person. If you're not obsessed with your partner, you're with the wrong person, or you haven't reached that level yet. Newsflash. You have to actually put in all kinds of effort into a relationship. And if you don't feel like doing that, you don't have what it takes. And then you're going to go into the garbage pile with all the rest of the losers who are getting drunk and crying themselves to sleep and pretending to be happy when they're not. The loser bin. It's easy to be a loser in this life. Just don't do anything. Just say you're happy when you know you're not by doing nothing. Wow, imagine how much we cannot accomplish by just saying, you know what? How about we just do nothing? You know that's not an option according to work and other responsibilities, right? So all you're doing is giving up on the best sensation in this world, which is true love. Attaining it and keeping it forever. You're a failure if you're just going to give up on yourself. All right, so he goes on to say, a woman, more often than not, has become the administrator of a system designed to extract my labor and redistribute it to her. Oh, come on, people. Are you talking about money? You guys can't just get your finances together and make some fair arrangement? That means you're not even intelligent. You're not even smart, for crying out loud. This is an immature guy. He's not even a real man. All while lecturing me on emotional intelligence. No thanks. Well, maybe she has an attitude problem, but by golly, you chose her. So it's just as much your fault. I mean, grow up, people. Accept responsibility for your own actions and decisions, which is an action. Number 2. Oh my goodness, what a cesspool of retardation here. The digital fulfillment shift. Why do I need a woman? For conversation? Wow, is that all you see women for? I have podcasts and AI that don't get offended. Oh, wow, man. It's just so pathetic. Yes, please, do stay alone. With this type of negative attitude, you should stay alone and miserable and pretend that you're happy. Seriously, you're a lost cause. What a basket case. For intimacy, the internet provides without the 6-month audition process. Well, you mean masturbation? You're proud of that? Really? That's what a winner does? Well, I have porn. So sad. The passive-aggressive tests, or the risk of financial ruin. For purpose, my mission, my craft, and my brothers provide that. So you're gay? I don't know. I don't know what's going on in that mind of yours, but I mean, I'm sorry, man, but I would want my woman by my side forever, not a bunch of guys, a bunch of swinging you-know-whats. All right, so women spent a decade telling men they were toxic. Who cares? Those are normally, toxic women calling other men toxic. The toxic will always call out the toxic. Are you going to join them? I mean, the easiest thing to do is whine, moan, and complain about it. Just bitching every single day about women this, women that. You're wasting precious years of your life with that negative loser's attitude. You get it? Then act shocked when we built a parallel universe. Oh my goodness, the exaggeration. Where their approval is irrelevant. We listened. You were right. We are better off alone. The losers are. Because I'll tell you what, I'm not going to recommend this loser's attitude mindset of a person to any woman out there. Even the toxic women out there, because you're just going to make a bad situation worse. 2 wrongs don't make a right. So there's toxic idiot women and there's toxic idiot men. Would I recommend them to each other? Like, oh, you guys deserve each other. No, because they're both going to explode and make it so much worse. So yeah, the guy is here boasting about, well, I have pornography. I can just masturbate. Like the woman saying, well, I can just masturbate with my vibrator. My double V's, vagina and vibrator. Wow, what an accomplishment. You should go tell your parents how accomplished you are. Hey, mom, dad, I'm so happy in life. I got my vibrator. I got my Netflix and chill. I have my career. And most likely if they're sane parents, they're going to tell the women, who fall underneath this loser's attitude category. Yeah, honey, I don't think that's winning. I'm a little concerned for you. You married your vibrator. So you failed at life pretty much by not finding the right partner for you. And the guys, go tell your dad and your mom, hey, mom, dad, I'm just masturbating to porn and I'm making so much money. I'm winning, aren't I? Your mom and dad literally had sex to create you. All you're telling them is that you can't even do any of what they've accomplished already. And it doesn't matter if they're even divorced at that time. Or whatever case it is. They both had sex and they had a child. That doesn't mean go out and have children and you're automatically a winner. No, they raised you, I assume. Let's just take the perfect case scenario, which should be typical. You grew up with a mother and father. And I don't care about the single parents. It's the same applies. If you grew up with one of your parents or both of your parents who try to show you morals and what success looks like, if they taught you that being a loser and just masturbating at home to porn is winning, I feel sorry for you. I truly do, because you were taught wrong. That's not happiness. That's mental sickness being passed on to another generation. Another generation of losers talking like that. Nothing but garbage. All right, so number 3, the accountability void strike. All right, just can't wait to open this one up. Happiness requires fairness. Modern romance is a rigged game. What is modern romance? The past, the present, the future, it's all the same formula, you retard. I mean, how can you get this wrong, right? It's not even supposed to be a game. You're the one playing games by choosing the wrong women. Got it? Where I am held accountable, everybody's held accountable. Grow up. For the actions of every man who came before me. No, you're not. What are you talking about? You know, if that's what she makes you feel, that she has all this baggage with past failed relationships, you chose the wrong person, because she's clearly not ready for you as the next candidate. Understand? If she has that mental and emotional baggage, that's a huge red flag that you just were passive to. You say, you know what? I don't care. The sex is good and, she's hot. That's your fault for skipping that huge red flag that's waving and slapping you in the face. That's a big red flag. And if you're scared of meeting somebody like that, how about this? Don't meet anybody like that. It should be really easy to detect, right? Like I said, it's a huge red flag slapping you in your face. Should be easy, right? Oh no, all women are like that. That's what stupid people say. So if you want to be stupid about it, right? Okay, so while she is accountable for nothing, no, everybody's accountable for everything. Come on, it's mutual, it's 50-50. Grow up. Her feelings being the ultimate, unassailable truth. I'm expected to provide stability while she explores her fluidity, whatever that means. To offer loyalty while she finds herself. To be a rock while she's a wave. That's not a partnership. Well, you shouldn't be a rock. I mean, it's the motion of the ocean, right? Both of you guys should be waves. Waves of pleasure and thankfulness, appreciation, gratitude. That's not a partnership. It's psychological servitude. Oh my goodness, just shut up. This is so cringe. My happiness is that you don't even know what that word means. Stop using the word happiness. Just like the douchebag female on the left. All right, so my happiness is a direct result of walking off that field and refusing to play. What is this, baseball? What I mean, a ninth inning, the bottom of the ninth. Refusing to play a game where the rules are written in her tears and changed at her whim. Oh my goodness, just cry me an ocean. I mean, seriously, at least a little mini pond with the world's smallest violin. Nobody cares about your loser's attitude. So congratulations. Today we have the absolute worst show because there's nothing useful here. This is just a prime example of what we have to deal with today with everybody who's toxic females, toxic males, 100% garbage. Stinky garbage. It's ready to be burned, all of it. That's all this is. Just crying a river, crying an ocean. Both of these people here. Now, all these points don't come from the same person. These are 6 different points. But they all mesh together into one colossal failure. People living in denial saying they're happy alone because they've given up. What did you do when you were a little child? I don't care if you were a little girl or boy. What did you do when you got upset? You ran into your room, you closed the door, and you plopped your head down on your bed and you start crying, right? Leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. Go away. You see how immature that is? You never grew up. Because here you guys are doing the same garbage attitude, this little immature game. I don't need anybody in my life. I'm happy. Go away. Leave me alone. This is what little kids say who don't even understand what life is all about. So any adult promoting any of this from either side is an absolute loser. An immature loser. So if you want to listen to the losers and follow their loser path, which again is going to hit a straight titanium wall, face first, it's too little too late at that point. It's a point of no return. You chose that lonely, miserable life with a fake smile on your face. And I don't care if you live to be over 100 years old. You'll never be happy. You can pretend you are. I mean, heck, Hollywood is full of actors, performers. They pretend to be... We even had the celebrity series recently. They pretend to be happy when you know they're not. All they do is they just go through relationship after failed relationship over and over, or they just settle in a mediocre relationship forever, and they're totally miserable. You're not going to know it, though. Maybe sometimes the signs are there, by the way, if you're smart enough to spot them. But most of the time, you won't know how miserable they are. That explains the alcohol, the smoking, the toxic behavior, the anger management issues, the bipolar issues, all these mental issues. But you don't know what goes on behind their closed doors. Let me tell you something. If you think you're going to be happy alone, if you need time off, go ahead and take some time off if you're failing with relationships. But if you think being forever alone is happiness, good luck. Because even luck won't even save you from the misery that awaits you. And that silence is going to be so loud in the end. It's going to haunt you for the rest of your life if you allow it to. And with that said, fortunately, it's the end of the show. Good grief. Good riddance. That does conclude our today's show. So be sure to tune in next time for our second season. More gender war arguments. Also, check out all these awesome shows right here and so much more on my channel. Much love, everybody.